22-year-old student Lindsay Gilbert is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old sales rep Tim George, for 2 suits he charged on her credit card.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 203 on the calendar in the matter of Gilbert versus George. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Gilbert, it is your claim that the defendant, with whom you lived for a period of time, owes you some money for charges that you allowed him to put on your credit card.
That's correct.
When did you live with the defendant?
We actually didn't live together. We were in a relationship for almost a year, beginning of September of last year.
And you say you never lived together?
No.
Just a second. I'll get to you in a minute. Did he ever stay in your home?
He did.
Who else lives in your home?
My daughter.
How old is she?
She's going to be 2 in October.
And when he stayed over in your home, did he ever stay over in your home for more than a day or 2 at a time?
Yes, he did. Sometimes it was, he was in and out of homes at the beginning of our relationship, so he stayed sometimes.
So he didn't have another permanent apartment when you first met?
That's correct.
I
stayed with his sister and me and some of his friends, different friends.
Okay. Now, at what point did you allow him to use your credit card?
After about 5 months of our relationship, we began talking seriously, and in February, the end of February of this year, he was working on a promotion and he needed to be more presentable, and because he has bad credit, he wasn't able to get any suits or anything, and I had good credit, and so he asked me to loan him some money so that he could buy suits.
And you have a credit card?
Yes, I do.
You have the February or March bill from 2001 with his purchase on it?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
Okay. Here's the February and March.
Thank you. There's one bill here that's underlined, March 9th, Junior Denim. What is that?
I believe the one underlined, is it Junior Denim? That would be my shorts.
Okay, so that's your bill.
Yes.
And all the rest of his, the polo stuff, ties.
Yes.
Did he pay anything towards the bill?
He paid one. The receipt is attached to the February bill. He paid in the amount of $60 in cash. And in the final arrangements of our relationship, it ended the 26th of May. We were meeting, talking about the bill at his sister's house, and he pushed me around and pulled my hair and stuff, and
stopped paying.
That's not true. If you can
Yeah,
see, I have a restraining
I've-
order against the defendant. I mean, against the plaintiff.
I've got
Okay.
police reports.
Okay, I don't need to look at the police report. We're not about police report. We're about shoes and ties and shirts. Okay, Mr. George, let's hear your version.
My version is I live in my apartment with my 2 best friends, Miles and Marshall.
I want you to listen to me.
Sorry?
I want you to look at me and speak slowly.
Okay.
You lived in your apartment.
Right, with my 2 best friends, Miles and Marshall. We had a nice place. When I met Lindsay, it was the first of, let me think, must have been right after we got back from Phoenix. We went to Phoenix for...
I don't care why you went to Phoenix.
For New Year's, so it was right after
don't
New Year's.
care.
January. It was in January. Okay. So we got back. We got a place together. Okay. I moved out of with them two, you know, and we got a place together.
You mean she moved out of her old apartment?
No, she moved out of her mom or her grandma's house, and I moved out of Miles and Marshall's. You know, we all 3 lived together. They got another apartment. I went and moved in with her. I moved in with her.
Yes.
We lived together, and I work full-time, about 50, 60 hours a week sometimes.
Yes.
She would take me to and from work, drop me off, pick me up from work most every day.
Okay.
I would just sign my paychecks over to her because we were, you know, talking about, you know, being serious enough to get married.
How much were your paychecks?
My paychecks, I bring home about almost $2,000 every 2 weeks.
That was also untrue.
Just a second. So your defense to this action is that you paid for this by turning over your paychecks to her.
Of course.
Is that right?
My thing was I
Show
let her
me.
take care of the bills.
Show me.
I can't.
Why not?
Because I moved from Albuquerque to Phoenix, and when this case came up, I'm already living in Phoenix, so I go to the HR department at my job, and I asked them, can I get some copies of those checks where it was signed over to Lindsay Gilbert? And then they said, you know what, we can't do that for you because there's just not enough time to do that. It's a very big corporation.
He did not sign checks over to me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lindsay Gilbert says ex-boyfriend Tim George charged clothes on her credit card. Lindsay says she wants to be repaid.
You have the capability, Mr. George, only you, of getting proof of your defense, which is that you signed checks over to her.
Right, and
Even if I believed you, sir, as of the time you separated in May, there was still an outstanding balance on this account.
I can't tell you what to do with the money that I gave her.
And it is clear that in...
It's clear you have no
I'm
idea.
speaking. I didn't hear what he said. Do I want to hear...
I can say it again if you want.
Do I want to hear what he said? Why don't you go have a talk with him, Bert?
Okay.
Find out what kind of medication he's on.
What kind are you on?
Judgment for the plaintiff
You know what
in
you
the
need to
amount
do,
of
man?
$1,093.17.
Okay? You understand?
And you're just lucky, sir, that I'm not sending you out to be tested, because either you are drunk,
Look like I'm playing.
high, or stupid. Pick one. That's all.
Why is our excuse? You may step out.
Whenever we were together, I moved out of her house because she was real violent.
Not true.
I've always wanted to get up there and tell Judge Judy what I thought, so today I got to do it.
Never, ever trust a guy with my money.
And now the next case.
All parties on Terrell versus Marlowe. Step forward, please.
64-year-old Mildred Terrell is suing her ex-granddaughter-in-law, 24-year-old daycare worker Love Marlowe, for destroying her furniture.
Miss Terrell, according to your complaint, the defendant married your grandson. Is that right?
Yes.
And there came a time when they were having difficulty paying rent, so you all decided to rent a place together. And you moved in to the place with them.
Yes.
And when you moved into this new place, according to you, you brought some furniture with you.
I brought everything.
All your furniture.
All my furniture, all the dishes, everything in the house was mine.
And then there came a time when your grandson left the defendant.
I moved out before then because of trouble that was going on. And as soon as he was able to take care, he had had surgery on his shoulder, and as soon as he was capable of taking care of the baby, I did move.
They have a baby.
Yes.
How old is the baby?
18 months.
And when you moved out, did you take your things with you?
Only thing I took with me was my bed, an end table, and a chair, and my TV, and a few dishes, and a couple of pants. That's all I took. I didn't want to take everything and leave them with an empty house, because that's what it would have been. Sheets and everything were mine.
And when did your grandson leave?
They were having trouble with the house, not only the rent, but other personal problems they were having. They moved out into their apartment, and they were there, I'd say,
Now, when
2
they
months.
moved out and went into this yet another rental property, did they take all the things with them?
Yes, I told them they could borrow until they got their own.
What did they take with them?
They took my couch. I have a list here, Your Honor.
Let me take a look at
Thanks.
the list. VCR, a couch, a lazy boy recliner, vacuum cleaner, some VHS movies, a rug, 3 end tables, a coffee table, a king-size bed, and miscellaneous stuff, linens and dishes, a dresser, those things you said they could take with them. And when did your grandson leave?
Right around the first week in January.
And where did he go? Do you know?
He came to my apartment, was there 3 or 4 days until the harassment got so bad by Love Marlowe and her family that he went to his mother's. And then he was there a while.
And where was the baby?
With him.
Where is the baby now?
With me.
She has temporary joint conservatorship of him now.
Now, when he left and came back to you for a short period of time, did he bring any of these items?
No, he didn't get out of the house with anything but the clothes on his back.
And the baby?
She took his socks, his underwear, she kept everything.
Okay. All right.
And Your
So
Honor,
what's your suit? Just a second.
and one of the times when she was there,
No.
I had a criminal trespass.
How long was your great-grandson with your grandson? Until when?
April 23rd.
Is that when a court granted you temporary conservatorship of the boy?
Yes, ma'am.
And how often does your husband see the boy?
Every other weekend.
Okay. Now, tell me what happened with all this property.
Okay, well, when we lived in Cleveland, Texas, when she lived with us,
We lived together.
Don't interrupt her.
we did not get along because
I don't care why you didn't get along. I'm asking you what happened to the property.
she moved out. She left it all there. She said she didn't want it. You know, we could have it. Well, of course, you know, we took everything that was in the house to our apartment because it was given to us. It was ours. Then we and Andy were not getting along, so he went to his grandma's. Well, I went over there, and he told me he was going to take off with my son, that I was never going to see my son again. So I went to go get a lawyer. I came back. He told me that I could come in to see Josh in her house. So I did. As soon as I went into the apartment to go see my son, she was standing out there and she waved the cops over as soon as I walked in. Well, the only thing that I wanted to do was get my son and get out of her apartment, go back to my apartment, which is just right across the way. Anyway, well then she told the police officer that I had hit her. I never laid a hand on her. Never.
What'd you go there to take your son for? I thought you went there to visit with him.
Well, I wanted to take my son out of her apartment and go into my apartment, and he wouldn't let me. He wouldn't let me leave the apartment and go back to my apartment.
With your son?
With my son, exactly.
Well, but you had no right to him at that point. You had no more right to him than your husband had.
Well, I mean, the only thing I wanted to do was just go into my apartment instead
you
of
wanted
stay
to
there
take,
with her.
No, you wanted to take your son.
Well,
do you understand? You
yes,
went there under the pretext of coming to visit him. But it was your plan to go and take him.
No.
And then take him into your apartment. That's what you just said to me.
No, ma'am. I just wanted. The only thing I asked Andy is that if I could visit him, that I wasn't going to go nowhere with him, that I could just visit with him in my apartment instead of being there in her apartment.
Yeah, but you didn't intend to give him back.
I wasn't going to take
You weren't going-
Josh nowhere.
No, but you weren't going to give him back. You were going to keep him in your apartment.
Well, Andy could have, come over there or whatever. I didn't
Right.
care.
I got it. Now, when you left, what arrangements did you make to get your things?
As soon as they could replace it, I wanted my things back.
What happens if she can't replace them?
Well, I'm sure they could, one piece at a time. Your Honor, why would I, at my age, walk out of a house with a chair and a bed, you know, after I'd worked so hard to get all of it?
I don't know. When you moved back
And
to
I
Texas,
have
it was just a
copies of
second.
pawn tickets where she pawned my
When-
stuff.
Did you pawn some of her property?
The movies were mine and Andy's. The VCR Andy had before we got together, and it was Andy's. And the only reason that I had pawned anything because I had to get a lawyer so I could get my son back, because Andy took my son and was gone for 6 weeks and 5 days, and I had no idea if I was ever going to see my baby
What
again.
does that have to do with my furniture?
Okay. Where are the 3 end tables?
I don't know what she's talking about there. I have no idea.
Is there a king-size bed?
There was, and when Andy come and got the kitchen table and his TV, he threw the bed in the dumpster.
Because there were men's underpants laying on top of the bed and men's shirt on the floor. There were stains on the bed, and I said, I don't want the nasty thing. Throw it in the trash.
You're talking about the mattress?
Yes. So we threw it in the trash.
Okay. Then you can't get reimbursed for it.
Well,
you
it
threw it in the trash.
wasn't that way before, Your Honor.
Who knows? You haven't seen it for a year.
I saw it before Andy left, and I know it wasn't that way. And I know there was men's underpants and his clothes laying on it that weren't my grandson's.
You can't become emotional about that and expect to be reimbursed for it.
That's fine.
Ms. Terrell, the truth of the matter is, you said to both your grandson and his wife, take this furniture, use it for as long as you need it, as you can replace it. If you said that, as you can replace it, I would like it back.
Yeah.
But there is a strong likelihood that they could never replace it, and you are not going to see this furniture again.
Well, I'm sure sooner or later they would
Well,
have
sooner or
replaced
later,
it.
then you get a mattress back that's a little bit stained.
Not from other men.
You don't know that. Did you do a DNA test on the mattress?
No, but it certainly wasn't
All
Andy's
right.
underpants
So we don't
on the
know
bed.
that. So we don't know that. And I'm not testing your grandson's bed either. That's not my job. All right. You have her couch and you have her recliner. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
She has
You're
the
gonna-
rug. It was in Rhonda's house the last I heard.
Who's Rhonda?
This lady's standing right here.
You have her rug?
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing with her rug?
Well, I thought it was Love's, and she told me I could borrow it.
Is it in good shape?
Yeah.
Right. Fine. So we have your rug, your couch, and the Lazy Boy recliner. Those are really the big items here.
All
Good.
the movies, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm not going to go into 104 movies. I don't know why you would leave them with 104 movies anyway.
Well, because they didn't have cable. They
give
didn't
them
have
one,
anything.
give them one at a
that's all
time.
they
Give
could
them one
do.
at a time. I cannot be a divorce lawyer because he's not here, and I can't question him
you
as
can
to whether
call
or
him.
not. What?
He sent a number if you'd like to call him.
I'm not calling him. I'm not doing your evidence for you.
No, his lawyer, really, Your Honor, his lawyer advised him not to be here.
Well, that's fine.
To
So I
not
have to
to
take
argue
things
with love.
So I have to find things here that everyone almost agrees on, and that is a couch, a recliner, and a rug. Those things I know about.
Vacuum cleaner.
You were without a vacuum cleaner for a year?
Until I bought another one.
Well, so you have one.
It was a brand new one she took.
No, you gave it to the kids to use.
That's
to use.
not giving. I love
No,
it.
you. I gotcha. Ms. Terrell, I'm following where you're coming from, madam.
Well,
I don't think
ma'am,
you're
I didn't
following
give it
where
to
I'm
her.
coming from.
Yes,
Where
ma'am.
I'm coming from is I have children and I have grandchildren, and if you have extra stuff, even if you have stuff that's not extra additional, you say, you don't have anything, kids, here, use this. If you can replace it one day, terrific, I would like it back. Because there's no bargaining.
But you
with
don't
children.
Let it go on forever. Till it's worn out,
Sometimes
then
you
they'll
do.
give it back.
Sometimes you do. And Ms. Terrell, I'm going to tell you this. In my view, if your grandson left, set up an apartment, had been awarded permanent custody of his child, and needed the couch and the recliner and the rug and the vacuum cleaner, and brought it to his house, you would not be standing here today.
Yes, ma'am, I would.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
No, Miss Terrell, you would not. What I'm doing is I'm directing you. Within 5 days, the couch, don't make any additional stains on the couch. Don't vandalize it in any way. The lazy boy recliner and the rug, which is to go back to her house, post haste. 5 days, the court will draft an order.
How about my end tables and so forth?
She doesn't have them. She doesn't know what you're talking about. Listen, you never know what's going to happen in the future. You have every confidence that your grandson is going to get custody of his child. That may happen. It may not happen. All I'm telling you is don't antagonize this situation any further, because it's nice to have a reasonable relationship with the custodial parent of your grandchild or your great-grandchild. And to make a big deal over 3 end tables at your stage in life is nothing short of being very short-sighted. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 172 on the calendar in the matter of Acetella versus Hire.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, huh?
Miss Acetella, you had a boyfriend with whom you lived for about 9 years, according to your complaint. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What was his name?
Leo McCullum.
And you used to be married to Mr. McCullum, is that right?
Yes, it is.
When were you divorced from Mr. McCullum?
In 92.
And you have children with Mr. McCullum.
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
I have 4 of my own natural children and 1 that I raised from his previous marriage.
Did Mr. McCullum ever have custody of his children
Yes, at one time, yes.
when he was living with the plaintiff?
Yes, part of the time. Since 96, he had custody.
Which child or children lived with you?
Danielle, Samantha, and Joanna.
So 3 of the girls
Yes, ma'am.
lived with you. Now, according to your complaint, Mr. McCullum attempted to murder you by pouring lighter fluid on you and setting you on fire. Mr. McCullum is currently incarcerated, serving a term of 30 years to life. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How long were you hospitalized?
A total of 4 months.
While
in
you
the
were in the hospital, it is your claim that the defendant came to the home that you had shared with Mr. McCullum and took all of the property out of the house.
Yes, ma'am.
When you returned home, there was very little there.
I never returned.
Did you ever go back to see what was in the house?
No, ma'am.
Well, how do you know she took your property?
This is my witness. I'd like for her to come up, please.
Okay, well, we may not even have to get to your witness. Mrs. McCullum says that all the property that was in that house belonged to her former husband, and she was entitled to take it. Is that right?
No, Your Honor. I never took anything from the house other than my children's belongings. And I have my daughter, Danielle, who lived at the house at the time that this terrible thing happened. And she can verify as to what Mrs.
So it's
Estella-
your position that you took nothing from the house except your children's clothing?
That's right.
Okay, now I'll hear your witness. Would you step up, please? Tell me your name.
Terry Way.
Miss Way, tell me what you know about the plaintiff's property.
Well, I know that they lived together for almost 10 years, and they acquired furniture. She had jewelry. She had her clothing.
Did you ever see the defendant take any furniture from the house?
I did not actually see her take it, no, ma'am.
So how do you know she has it?
I went there 3 days after she was in the coma to get her belongings from the house and saw that the house had already been ransacked. And there was only 3 people that had keys to the house: Leo, who was in jail, Piper, who was in the coma, and the children. So the children, maybe Paula, I didn't see them actually take it, but they're the only ones that had access to the house to get those belongings.
Did you have to use a key to get into the house?
I didn't actually get into the house. I saw it through the windows.
Did you try to get into the house?
Yes, I did.
Was the door locked?
Yes, it was.
What floors could you see from the window where you were looking?
Mostly the living room and the kitchen.
And had you been to the house before?
Yes, I had.
So what kind of furniture had been there in the living room previously?
There was a couch and a love seat, a dining room set. That's all I can think of at the time.
And all of that was gone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm with you, Miss Heyer.
Okay. First off, I'd like to call my daughter Danielle for a witness. The first time we were allowed into the home, I wasn't even allowed. It was still under crime scene by the police for at least a week. The second day of this, I had to go by the home to have my daughter go in and pick up some medicine. She was escorted in by the police. At that time, I wasn't able to even go into the home.
And what about the third day?
I have no idea on the third day. They were going to contact us. I forget the detective's name at the time where we could go in and remove the children's clothes.
We've underlined the 2 sections that apply.
Well, this is a copy of a newspaper article. This indicates that Mr. McCullum at some point was free on bond of $300,000. So he was freed awaiting trial for a period of time?
Yes, ma'am, almost a year.
When was bail set?
Bail was set, I believe, at the time that he was arrested, but between his attorneys, they wanted it reduced, but our side said no.
Doesn't make any difference. He was free on bail.
Yes, ma'am, but that happened 3 weeks after. He was in jail for 3 weeks before he was released on bond. And I have another article here that talks about the belongings.
I'd like to read that, too. The defendant says she doesn't have them. I don't know whether she has them or not, but there has to be some proof that she has them, because there are possibly other explanations as to what happened to the property. I'll get to that in a minute. What's your name?
Danielle.
Danielle, did you originally lie to the police about this fire?
Yes.
You originally lied to the police and told them that your father was nowhere around. Is that right?
No.
Danielle McCullum said that she was standing 5 feet from her father and O'Neill in a neighbor's yard when the woman burst into flames. She said she didn't see a lighter in either of their hands. Later, she said she originally told the detective she had been in her room when O'Neill caught fire. She told the jury Wednesday she lied because she was scared.
That's
right?
true.
So why would I believe anything she says?
Ma'am, I never got a phone call. I never got a card asking how I was doing or anything. Nothing. After 9 years.
After 9 years and 3 of the children living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, they must not be very nice
I had
people.
my very bad faults, but after
Brandon, she drunk.
Excuse me? Listen.
She was an alcoholic.
Well, there had to be
Just out of
some reason why,
house.
listen to me, madam, she may not be perfect, but there had to be some reason why your 3 girls chose to live with their father instead of you. There had to be some reason.
There is. I was incarcerated.
Well, that's a very good reason.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Piper Acetella says her ex-boyfriend's ex-wife, Paula Heyer, ransacked her home and stole her belongings. Piper says the theft occurred while she was in a coma.
She says it wasn't her. It certainly wasn't you. That leaves old Leo. Now, what could Leo have done? Could Leo have given his attorney the key to the house and said to his attorney, in case she makes it, I don't want her to have anything? He could have done that. May have even sent it over to her house. Who knows? Anybody who was crazy enough to do what he did could do anything. And clearly, if he was out on $300,000 bond, he had some money. Where did he get the money from for $300,000 bond? From his parents.
Oh, yeah.
So he could have given his parents the key to the house.
They weren't there yet.
They're out of state.
Doesn't make any difference. Gotten it to them, said one way or another, you get into that house and take everything out of that house. I don't want, in case she gets better, I don't want her to have a thing.
Can she explain about Nancy, the woman that actually saw them taking the stuff in and out?
Well, I would like to hear a witness if you had that witness. Where is that witness?
She was reached by telephone, but apparently she couldn't make it here.
Why? Who is she?
She's Leo's cousin's wife.
She came to see me in the hospital quite frequently while I was waiting for her to come out of her coma.
Well, why can't she be here?
She said that she would be here, but she had to talk it over with her husband, and we think that when she did that, and since he's related to Leo, that they didn't want her to show up here because it would be a plus on her side. So she never did return the calls after that.
Do you understand my problem?
Yes.
What?
I know where the furniture went.
Well, then let me hear you.
Okay. Leo's brother, McCullum, had put everything into storage because the landlord had got a hold of him stating that he was going to trash anything and everything that was left in the house because the rent was due. So he took the stuff from the house, put it into storage. I have the receipts where he paid storage for 10 months.
And when was that done?
Just a second. Here we go.
And I was never notified.
So Leo's brother?
Yes.
Leo's brother took the stuff and put it in storage?
Yes, which he paid storage on for 10 months before he took it out.
Well, where is it now?
It's at his residence in Ozark, Missouri.
Your Honor, I was never notified.
Regards to the contents of Leo McCullough's household goods, McCullum, removed and put in storage in August of 1999. I kept it in storage for 10 months, which then I moved some of the property into storage in my house. Let us make copies of the storage receipts. Let us make a copy of this before the plaintiff leaves today. Now you know where your stuff is. You know where your furniture is.
Maybe the furniture, but my clothes, I mean, they had a habit of stealing stuff out of my closet.
I know, but you can't prove that. We're talking about major stuff now. I mean, I can't say whether they took your clothes, whether they took your shirts, whether they took whatever. The brother went into the house, according to his own letter. He went into the house. That's what I said. I said, so he could have turned this key over to a relative, to his parents, to his brother, and said, get it out of there. I don't want her to have anything, because I'm going to spend the rest of my life in jail anyway. Hopefully.
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 I'll be there to see it.
Right. So, here's this. Try again. Wrong defendant. Got it? Make sure she gets that. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'll be there to see this man in prison for the rest of his life, and I will.
She didn't never work. She didn't pay for the booze she drank every day. She didn't pay for anything. Nothing in that house was hers.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bloom parent versus parent. Step forward, please.
57-year-old Shirley Bloom and her daughter, 23-year-old teacher Terry Parent, are suing Shirley's son, 21-year-old plumber's assistant Jess Parent, for an unpaid loan to keep him out of jail.
According to your complaint, there came a time when your son was facing a prison term or facing jail unless he could come up with some money. You took out a loan so he would have the money, but you needed some collateral, and the only collateral that you had was your mother's car, which you did put up as collateral for this loan. Your brother hasn't paid back the loan. What was he facing jail about?
It was for deferred adjudication, and he had hot checks.
A deferred adjudication, which means if he paid back the money, he wouldn't go to jail.
Right.
Okay, and how much money did he have to come up with?
Altogether, it was like $1,900.
So did he come to you and ask you for the money?
Actually, he came to my mom.
What did he say to you, Miss Blum?
He told me that if he didn't have this money by this certain time, that his probation officer, when his probation was off, that they would automatically give him a year. And if he went to jail, then he would go automatically to prison.
You then spoke to your daughter?
Right.
I used my mother's vehicle. It's a '97 Kia Sophia, and got the lease and the amount of money I needed.
And what were the monthly payments on it?
Every week it was $38.72. On March 23rd, 2001, I paid the loan off, which he didn't help me other than maybe, 6, 7 payments. of all.
$871 he gave you back.
I had to pay off the loan, which was $1,987.22.
Okay, let's hear from you.
I disagree with everything that was just said because I'd give my mom money to the fact that if the baby, my sister's baby, needed something, I'd give them some money. Every time I got paid, I'd give them some money.
That's not
true. You know,
true.
to help them out.
That's not true, Jess. You know that.
I mean, anytime they needed help, I would help them out. And I mean, it's just been going on like this since I was little. I mean, she's been wanting money. I mean, I had a job.
Let's go back.
Okay.
You faced a term of imprisonment on a deferred adjudication. You had to come up with some money, all at one time. Did you ask your mother for the money?
No, ma'am. It wasn't that much.
Just a second.
Okay.
Did you discuss with your mother the fact that if you didn't come up with a bulk piece of money, you were going to go to jail?
No, ma'am. I had a job, and it wasn't that much money. For deferred adjudication, I was not going to, it wasn't having to pay a fine.
Is what you're telling me that your sister never gave you a check to give to the court for fines?
No.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
And that was on or about August of 2000?
Yes. I had a job. I was working.
That's not what I asked you.
Okay.
Are you telling me that you never, in August of 2000, needed a bulk sum of money to pay fines and other bad checks? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
What's the name of your probation officer?
Dolores?
What's her phone number?
I have no idea.
Oh, sure you do. You have to call and check in with your probation officer, sir.
I went and seen her once a month. I never had a call and check or nothing.
Does that name sound familiar to you?
Yes, it does.
Do you have the telephone number of the probation officer?
No, I don't. I never got anything like that. He would never give it to me because he didn't want me to talk to her.
Do you have a copy of the check?
No, we just have the copy of the loan.
The agreement, the lease agreement.
And
for
I have, these are checks that I picked up with some of that money for him because he was going to go to jail that day if they weren't paid. And the rest of it I gave it to him to pay his fine.
Well, you certainly made restitution on that date, sir. So that takes care of your argument that you didn't need a bulk of money in August.
I didn't. I had to pay a certain payment before that date.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, why would we get the loan if, I mean, I have my own responsibilities,
What did
more or
you do
less.
with the check that you got for it?
I cashed it and I gave him my mother went and paid off some of his hot checks, which we gave you the paperwork on that.
And the rest of it we gave to him.
How many bad checks did you write?
I wrote, I'd say around 4 or 5.
That's not true.
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
I wrote about 4 or 5 hot checks because I had gotten kicked out of their house. So.
What'd you get kicked out for?
Well, she wanted more money from me, and I only had so much money. I was getting.
That's not true,
I gave
Jess.
her most
That's
of
not-
my check.
No.
Yes, that is true. Every week when I got paid, I got a certain amount. That's all I would get. I'd give her the rent. I didn't mind paying rent. I don't mind doing that. You know,
Well,
I
how
feel
old are you?
responsible. You know,
How
I'm
old are you?
21. I don't mind paying rent at all. That's part of life, you know. But I mean, you shouldn't work all week for just like $50 a week when you give your whole check to your mom. I mean, that's supposed to be your mom, not your money taker.
That's right,
you
and
know.
it's supposed to be your mom.
Don't talk to him.
Your Honor, I keep a diary because he accused me several times of taking his money. He'd give me money, right. By the end of the week, he would borrow it all back. And he'd say, Mom, why don't I have any money? So I kept a little calendar, and every time he got money from me, I wrote it down. And I made copies for you. You want to see them, showing since the time we had to get him out of jail the first time, which was like almost $700 that weekend, getting him out of jail when he got in trouble, that he never paid back.
You been arrested since, sir?
No, ma'am.
How many times have you been arrested altogether?
I'd say twice.
Yes.
I'd say twice.
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
say.
it wasn't nothing besides traffic tickets. I mean, that's why. I mean, I
And
got.
lying to a judge.
That's why I got. Well, the second time I got thrown in jail for lying to an officer, and the officer came back and put me in jail for that.
Oh, good. And what's next?
And then the other one was for traffic tickets.
And the other one was for bad checks.
No, I never got thrown in jail for bad checks.
No, because Mama helped and paid.
No, because I worked and paid for them.
No,
You got
didn't.
arrested for bad. Just a second. You got arrested for bad checks, didn't you?
No, he never
I never
got
got
arrested.
arrested for
Never
bad
got
checks.
arrested
No,
for the bad
because I
checks.
paid him off.
No, he came
so
to
I
us
see.
whining about
I
he was
see.
gonna
He
go to
was
jail.
on probation for something else.
Right.
Oh. Oh, what? For lying to an officer.
Right.
Yes.
What'd you lie to him about?
I told him a different name because I knew I had a traffic ticket out.
Oh, so, and that wasn't hard to lie to the officer, was it?
No, it wasn't. but it
Good.
was a
Judgment for the
class-
plaintiff in the amount of $1,987. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, that's case number 484 on the calendar in the matter of Lagasso Brown versus Humphreys. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
How old are you, Miss Humphreys?
21.
Who's this?
This is Nicholas's father.
His father?
Yeah.
And what relationship do you have with Nicholas's father?
When I lived with them, his father would come over frequently. And after I left their house, I needed a place to stay. So I called him, and he said that he had a room.
You mean the father?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you work?
Yes.
What do you work for?
IBM.
Doing what?
Call center.
How long have you worked for them?
I just started the job like at the beginning of last month.
Before that, who did you work for?
McDonald's.
Who else, Miss Humphreys, lives with you and Nicholas's father?
It's just me and him.
You have a romantic relationship
No.
with him?
No.
How long have you known him?
Beginning of May.
Okay. Your last name is?
Lagasso.
Lagasso. How long have you been living in your home, Mr. Lagasso?
Probably a little under a year.
Do you rent or own?
Own.
And you rented a room to Miss Humphreys. She invited a boyfriend over at some point, and the boyfriend invited some people over, and your home got trashed. You want her to be responsible.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that when you threw her out?
No. I'm the owner of the house. My girlfriend Heather is the one that had the communication with her and the conversations. I work a lot, and so I wasn't quite there for everything. I agree with everything, but she'd be the one better to talk to.
Who loaned Miss Humphreys $1,000 to buy a car?
I did, Your Honor.
Why?
At the time, I had checked her credit, her background, everything. I talked to her mom. Everything seemed legitimate. Her job was good, and...
What do you mean her job was good? Who was she working for?
At the time, she had been with McDonald's for more than a few months.
And where does her mother live?
Ocean Shores, Washington.
Is that where you live?
No, it's a whole different state. We live in Wilsonville, Oregon.
What are you doing in Oregon?
I left Ocean Shores to go to PCC, and my dad lives there, and my grandpa lives in Salem.
So why don't you live with them?
They don't have enough room. They
I'm
have
sorry,
a
that's not
one-bedroom.
true. She came down chasing a guy.
The same guy that trashed your house?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is he still around, Miss Humphreys?
No.
Well, you invited him over, is that right?
Yes.
And he's why she moved.
Just a minute. He caused the damage, right?
Yes.
But he was your guest.
Yes.
Then you're responsible.
I don't feel that I'm responsible.
I don't care what you feel. What you feel is totally irrelevant to me. Somebody extended their house to you, and they ended up with a trashed house because of you. If you hadn't invited your boyfriend there, and you hadn't had lack of supervision there, the house wouldn't have gotten trashed. Did you see what the house looked like after your boyfriend left?
Yes, I did.
And?
I don't feel that I'm responsible for...
I don't care whether you feel you're responsible. I want you to tell me about the destruction that was caused.
There were a couple of holes in the walls.
From what?
He had punched the holes, some of holes in the wall, and then he had thrown me into a wall. And he kicked in my bedroom door because I tried to lock it.
And the graffiti was an accident, too?
Where is he now?
I'm guessing at his grandma's house.
What makes you guess he's at his grandma's house?
Because he likes to be there because he doesn't have to have any responsibilities there.
He's in jail.
When was the last time you saw him?
August.
When did this happen to your house?
July and August.
What do you mean July and August both?
In July, she had a party. Or, well, in July, she claims she didn't have a party. She claims she just left to go to the store and came back to a party, a raging party.
Okay. And so why didn't you throw her out in July?
According to what I had found out, the tenant-landlord laws in Oregon, we had to give her the opportunity to rectify the damage, fix the problem. And so we did. And she agreed to pay for the damages. She set up, she paid a down payment of $100 and set up basically adding $200 to her rent every month, and then she wanted to sign a year lease to sort of give us the proof that she would be.
And then what happened in August?
Well, in July, we told her, sorry, the loser can't come back. And I also did the research and found out I had every right to trespass him from the property, and we did officially. We served her and him both with paperwork. I told him not to come back.
Very smart for you to invite her into your house. 3 A's you get for that, for judgment. Yeah, go ahead.
We told her, you know, he can't come back. She seemed to really respond to that. Oh, I don't want him in my life. Not even 3 weeks later, we both came home from work on the first week of August. Everything was gone from her room. She had posters up on the wall that, when we pulled down, revealed more damage, carpet.
I'd like to see the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
What prompted you to invite her into your house? Stand over there. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I just want this issue dealt with.
What prompted you to invite Miss Humphreys to live in your house?
Because she offered to pay me rent, and I wanted her out of their...
Keep going.
I want her out of their lives so there's no more turmoil between the two of them.
There's no more turmoil. Why would there be turmoil with them?
She still feels a little anguish against them.
She feels what?
She feels angry against them for coming after her for the money that her friend made.
I'm asking you why this is a stranger to you, unless you got friendlier when she was living there that I don't know about.
No, ma'am.
There are a lot of people out there, if you wanted to rent a room, why would you rent a room with somebody that trashed your son's home and that left owing him $1,000? Why would you want to do that?
I felt she needed a place to stay. I felt sorry for her.
Been there.
Sit.
She's really good at that. See, like, I'm innocent.
No, listen to me.
Feel sorry for me.
Listen to me. She could say, feel sorry for me. How old are you?
46.
46. Pushing 50. 46 pushing 50 doesn't feel sorry for this.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You don't look healthy. 21-year-old girls are supposed to look the best of their whole life. You can either grow old and make yourself the hero of your own story, or you can be washed out when you're 30 and look like a piece of garbage.
And later today,
My good friend Alan Alda wrote a book about that. His parents thought they were doing him a favor when they had his dog stuffed. It scared the hell out of him for most of his childhood. I'm telling you, I'm not so sure it's a great idea.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nicholas Lagasso and Heather Brown claim former tenant Samantha Humphreys owes for an unpaid loan and for damage to the home caused by her ex-boyfriend.
All right. Nice.
As you can see, those aren't just punching holes in the walls.
No. What's he in jail for? Is not an answer.
She doesn't know.
I really don't know. I haven't talked to him since August.
We just looked up the jail roster before we left, and he was on it.
Well, what would make you think he was at his grandma's house?
Because that's where he loves to be.
Well, you caused the problem. You invited the guest. The guest was uncontrolled, and you invited him not once, you invited him twice. Did you have him arrested for domestic violence?
No, ma'am.
Well, he punched you. He threw you into a wall. You don't understand that?
I didn't press charges.
You should go home. You're not ready to be out. Lots of things look like they happened to you, but you're not ready to be out. Can you go home?
At this time, I could, but I like the city better. There's more opportunities out there.
I don't think that's...
And I have a good job at IBM, $10 an hour. I don't want to lose that job.
Her mom disagrees with that.
You've made, at a young age, some very bad choices, Miss Humphreys. You don't look healthy. 21-year-old girls are supposed to look the best of their whole life. You look like you're struggling. I don't know what's going on in your life, but you can either grow old and make yourself the hero of your own story, or you can be washed out when you're 30 and look like a piece of garbage. You keep making bad choices, long-term bad choices. So you think twice about whether or not you go home and get healthy before you do anything else. Now, you have an estimate for fixing up the house?
Yes, ma'am. Total damage is $22.49.
Do you still have the car that you purchased with the down payment from them?
No, it got repossessed.
How much did you spend on a car?
I can't really remember. Somewhere around 13.
She didn't pay attention.
I went on Craigslist.
Go home.
Okay.
$2,249 for the repairs to their house, another $1,000 that this young lady loaned you for the car. It's $3,249. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think that she should have awarded them that money.
Glad to see it settled. I just want to go home and, you know, fix my house.
He was the one that put the holes in the wall, the damages, so I don't feel that they should have gotten that money.
The damages were outrageous.
It wasn't my fault that he had put the holes in the wall.
You know, I'm a young guy too, and I don't, you know, I treat my stuff and other people's stuff with respect. I don't see how anybody could do that.
I told his friends to get out because they were drinking in the house, and he got mad at me and just went off.
She may be the kind of girl that is influenced by men and influenced enough to let him beat her.
A friendship that I lost because my boyfriend did all these damages.
Same thing, the friendship. I mean, you know, she's a sweet girl. She just needs a little guidance.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Murphy versus Gray. Step forward.
Pam Murphy is suing taxidermist Danny Gray for the return of money she paid to have her late Pomeranian stuffed. Pam says Danny never completed the job.
Miss Murphy, you had a pet that you were very attached to. What kind of a dog was it?
A Pomeranian.
And it was a female. When she was ill, sort of towards the end of her life, you had trying to make arrangements for her to, I don't know what the taxidermist does, what you call it.
I was going to have her stuffed.
Stuffed. And you contacted Mr. Gray. You paid him in advance $300 for his services. When your dog passed away, Mr. Gray took possession of the dog, and you want your money back because he did not perform the services that he was supposed to. And in addition, you want some money for pain and suffering because you say that you can't have her stuffed anymore because of the way she was kept.
Yes, Your Honor.
What did you do with her, ultimately?
Right now, she's in my freezer. I'm going to have her cremated, and I've got to get an urn and all that. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. And when do you plan on doing that?
When I get back.
You should
I
do
did.
that.
I kept her because the reason being is because I knew that I was going to take him to court. I had another taxidermist come to my home and evaluate her present condition, of which I have for you, just so we know where we started and where we are today.
Do you have your own, Miss Murphy? Do you have your own home?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the law permit you to have her buried on your property?
I don't know that.
What you plan on doing is having her cremated.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a good idea. I know. I just lost one. I'm not sure whether I would want to see her around every day.
Well, I initially wanted to have her stuffed, and he was going to get a flex. He had a flex form for her, and I was going to let her.
I understand what you want.
Yeah.
What you had wanted. I'm not so sure that's a great idea.
I know it's out there. Yes.
You know, I just don't think it's a great idea. My good friend Alan Alda wrote a book about that. His parents thought they were doing him a favor when they had his dog stuffed. It scared the hell out of him for most of his childhood. So, I'm telling you, I'm not so sure it's a great idea.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to know, other than thinking, what did you do?
I just got all the information together.
So the answer is you did a lot of thinking.
A lot of thinking.
Miss Danny Gray cheated her out of the money she paid to have her Pomeranian stuffed. Danny is countersuing for defamation of character.
Okay. Do you have another dog?
I do now, yes.
What kind of dog do you have?
Same, a Pomeranian.
Pomeranian. A puppy?
She is. She's a pocket blue merle.
Okay. All right. You'll fall in love again.
I know.
All right, Mr. Gray. You didn't do your job.
I need a little more time on her request. It was a very unusual request.
No, all right. Well, did you tell her she was a very unusual request when you took her $300?
Well, at that time, she didn't have everything in detail.
That's not what I'm asking you, sir. Did you tell her when you took her $300 that it was a very unusual request?
Yes, I did.
Did he tell you it was
No, he did not.
No, because Mr.
said he
Gray,
was happy
even
to do it.
according to your answer, sir, you said, I had a lot of other things going on at that time in my life. Stressors. You were taking care of an ailing mother, you were moving your business, you were doing lots of other stuff, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. You know, you have a certain amount of sympathy for that from one human being to another, but that doesn't mean that Miss Murphy's not entitled to her money back. You didn't do any work for it.
Yes, I did. Here's a drawing. I had to sketch it out in order to make an animal move.
Other than the sketch, what did you do?
Well, I had to thaw it out and take all the dimensions, measurements.
Yeah, I know your thinking process takes a very long time, sir.
The actual mounting
what
process.
did you do?
The mounting process was not going to take place until I got the form constructed.
Just a second. Did you have the form constructed?
No, I haven't had it completed.
I want to know, other than thinking, what did you do? The answer is either nothing, or I built something, or I started to build something. I have pictures of what I started to build that I can show you, Judge.
I just got all the information together.
So the answer is you did a lot of thinking.
A lot of thinking.
Unfortunately, sir, in your business, you don't get paid for thinking. You get paid for doing.
It takes a lot of time to get all the information together.
Listen to me, sir. Doesn't take any time. You had the body of her pet in your freezer. Now, when did you put your thought process to that drawing that you were dying to show me?
The minute she started telling me she wanted to be able to be moved in different positions, the whole thing had to be tanned. It's not a standard process.
So what I'm asking you is, are you telling me that as soon as you saw the plaintiff, you thought about it and you made that drawing?
I didn't make that drawing at that time.
Just a second. You know, he's not going to get over me. It's not going to happen. You didn't do your job. You had other things going on in your life, and this took a back burner. You have to give her her money back. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now.
And Your Honor, may I say something?
What?
When she came on my property to get her dog, I had a customer there, and she was running my customers off, telling them to get their dog back.
Just a second. Mr. Gray, shh. She's a dissatisfied customer. Now we're going to get to your countersuit, sir. Your countersuit says that she posted defamatory things about you, and you lost customers.
Yep. And I'm still going to be losing them.
Listen, sir, you tell me what she said that was not true.
Me ripping people off. I have never ripped a person off.
Just listen to me.
Not one.
Listen to me. Did she ask you for her money back?
Yes, she did.
Just listen. Miss Murphy, I can really take care of myself. It's not a difficult case.
Yes, ma'am.
When she asked you for your money back, did you give her money back?
No, I didn't have it at the time.
Well, that's your problem. Then you ripped her off. Then you didn't do your job, you took her money, and you ripped her off. So if your counterclaim has to do with the fact that she defamed you by telling your customers that you ripped her off. In her mind, and actually, based upon what you tell me, that's what you did. Now, if you said, I didn't do my job, and when she came and I gave her pet back and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't do my job, here's you $300. And then she wrote, you ripped her off, maybe we would have a discussion. But if your response to me is, I spent her money and I didn't do the job, then you ripped her off.
I think my time's worth something. I spent a lot, a couple of hours on this measurement process, and it has to be done before anything else has to be done.
Don't believe you. You have any way of proving to me that that drawing was done 6 months ago?
No, ma'am.
That's what I'm saying to you, Mr. Gray. Now we understand each other. You took her $300. You didn't do the job. When she asked for her $300 back, you said, I spent it. She gets her $300 and your counterclaim's dismissed. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties excused, Ms.
Judge, what about the punitive?
Yeah. No, listen to me. That's not happening.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
That's case number 431 on the calendar, the matter of Greger versus Yates.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Greger, how many limousines do you have in your fleet?
4 as of right now, Judge.
And how long have you been in the limousine business?
Almost 2 years, Judge.
In the 2 years that you've been in business, how many times has your company taken a fee from a client for damage to the vehicle? Now look at me.
Twice, I believe, Judge.
2 times in addition to this time?
Yes, Judge.
Great. Now, you take a credit card deposit.
Yes, Judge.
For any potential damage that occurs during the event. Is that right? You take an imprint of the card? Is that what you do?
The way it works is they'll call and they'll make a reservation, and we'll take $200, and that guarantees that it's a good card. And then if there are any damages after the bus comes back, we notify them and then take our...
Take that out of that credit card?
Yes, Judge.
Did Miss Yates give you a good credit card?
No, Judge, she did not.
Why not?
It was a good credit card, but he said that he
No, just a second. Let's get back to it's a good credit card. You reserved the limousine. It was your party. When you gave him a credit card, was it maxed out?
No, it had the money that was down for the deposit.
Judge, it was a debit card. It wasn't a credit card. She misinformed us and gave us a debit card number, and there was about $215 in that account when we took our $200 deposit, so there was barely enough to cover it.
So let me understand this. This was not a credit card that you gave him?
Yes, it was a credit card. He never informed me that he was going to remove any money when there was damages.
Judge, we called...
Just a second. If there were damage in the car, who did you think was going to pay for it?
I was, but he never informed me that he was going to be taking money out of my card. He called...
Right, but you do understand that if there were damages to the car during your party, that it's your responsibility because you're the one who hired his limousine.
If I was the one who caused the damages,
no,
but I wasn't.
You don't have to be the one that caused the damage. You or anyone involved with your party. How many people were in the limousine?
25.
You or anybody else involved in your party?
Nobody in my party caused damages. It was actually the driver and his
the driver that caused damages?
Yes, it was.
Explain to me how the driver caused the damages to the car.
Well, it was my 21st birthday, so I was pretty intoxicated.
Miss Yates, what does 21 have to do with getting drunk?
Everybody goes out on their 21st birthday. He was there. He's seen the driver.
Stand still.
Okay.
I'm talking to you. I'm asking what I consider a serious question. I can understand going out and having a good time and having a drink, having 2 drinks, or even having 3 drinks. But what is your 21st birthday? Why should that say to you, I as a woman, I mean, it's bad enough when a guy gets stupid and sloppy and disgusting. But a 21-year-old woman getting drunk is probably the most disgusting picture that I can conjure up in my mind. You think that's funny? It's not funny. It's disgusting. When you lose control of yourself so that you're a fool, 21-year-old guys, we sort of expect it from them, but not from a 21-year-old woman.
I had control, but I knew it was...
Well, you don't have control if you don't remember what happened.
Judge, I was told that she blacked out that night.
I don't care what you were told, and what you were told is hearsay. Don't interrupt.
Yes, Judge.
Do you understand?
I do.
So if you don't remember what happened, you weren't in control, and you were a fool. So you don't know yourself how his driver caused the damage.
I do know.
Do you? How?
I do not. I just don't remember the damage. There was any damages. I knew that there was a fight that broke out outside of the club, outside of the bus.
What do you mean you knew? You mean you saw? You were there?
Yes.
You saw. Well, then you can tell me what you saw.
Okay, there was a fight
through your
that broke out.
inebriated eyes.
Okay, there was a fight that broke out. I guess one of the girls' ex-boyfriends showed up.
Don't tell me what you guess. I'm not interested in what you guess. A fight broke out outside the club.
Yes, and the bus was parked outside of the club. And the driver was getting really upset. He wanted to leave, and I was like, you can't leave my friends here. Like, we need a ride back.
What do you mean? The driver was getting upset?
He was getting upset that there was a fight taking place outside of the bus.
Just a second. Carefully, Miss Yates. Did the driver say to you, please get everybody, it's not safe here, I want to get out of here?
He was yelling at everybody. And
to get into the bus?
Yes.
And were people listening to him or not listening to him?
They were, but he was also getting physical with them, like pulling people on the bus, and he can testify. He was there.
Would you like me to come up and give a statement?
Depends upon whether or not you want to do that.
I would love to.
I'm ready to hear you. Your last name is?
My last name is Martinez, Judge.
How old are you?
26.
You were at the party?
Yes.
Were you as drunk as she was?
No, absolutely not.
Was she pretty drunk?
Yes. Most of the people there are pretty intoxicated.
And so you've been that route, and now you're 26 and smarter, I assume?
A lot smarter than I was at 21.
Well, maybe you should have a talk with these idiots. Go ahead.
Well, what had happened was a fight had broken out. Somebody's ex-girlfriend was partying with us, and her ex-boyfriend had showed up and wasn't too happy to see her there, intoxicated with a bunch of guys. And a fight had broken out. That fight spilled out into the street.
Okay, so the fight was with the people that were in your party.
Yeah. That turned into a brawl because it spilled out into the street. Of course, friends had friends there, and people started backing each other up, and a big brawl turned out. Well, security was involved in the fighting. They were throwing punches. They were spraying people with mace. There was a lot of commotion going on. The driver did ask everybody to get on the bus. Some of the people that were involved in the fight were fighting. They were trying to get on the bus. Some of the people that weren't even on the bus were trying to get on the bus to continue the fight. So it was hard to decide who was with the party and who wasn't. I feel for the driver because he was just trying to do his job. He was just trying to get out of there, get out of the situation. What had happened too was people were trying to get on the bus that belonged on the bus, and he wasn't letting people on the bus that should have been there. So I remember seeing somebody in the doorway of the bus trying to keep it open because he wanted to leave. He was telling everybody, I'm out of here. I'm not waiting for anybody. We're taking off. And as people were trying to get on the bus, he was trying to close the door, and somebody was holding the door open. I'm not sure who this person was. I barely knew a couple of people there. And he started kicking the door, telling him, get away from my door, get away from the door, kicking it. And the guy backed up, and he tried to close the door again, and somebody grabbed it, threw it open. They dragged somebody all bloody on the bus that had gotten beat up. The person was knocked out, dead cold. I mean, blood all over their face, so that didn't help. So after we did that, most of the people were on the bus. Some people got left there, by the way. He shut the door, proceeded to take off. I was on the bus, she was on the bus. That's all I cared about.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All right, Miss Yates, ball is in your court. I'll hear you.
About what?
About what do you mean about what? You better stop drinking. You can't lose any cells.
And later today,
She got punished because you sold weed. She's out $1,400. You're out zippity-doo.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Limo company owner Stephen Greger says Ashley Yates owes for limo damages as a result of a drunken brawl on her birthday.
Go ahead.
As far as the damages, I was the last person to get off the bus that night because my watch had fallen off in the commotion. I went back to find it. I found it, got a couple other people's cell phones, and got off the bus. And there was no broken windows that I saw. There was no torn up seats. I looked around the bus. And
you did?
Yeah. And we got off, called it a night, went home. Everybody was mad. Somebody took that guy to the hospital.
Is there any blood on the bus?
I think there was a little bit of blood on the floor from the guy's mouth. It was leaking pretty bad.
Any damage to the door where somebody threw it open?
I didn't pay particular attention to the front door, but I did see it being kicked earlier in the commotion, but I didn't pay particular attention to the door. I was more focused on the windows and the seats when I was looking around for watches.
But you didn't see any broken windows?
No.
And you looked?
I looked, yeah.
And you didn't see any ripped up seats?
Definitely not, because I was looking through the seats for cell phones and keys and watches when I was doing that.
Did you look through all of the seats, Mr.
Yes,
Martinez?
all the seats. I went through the whole circle of the bus.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. You were the driver?
Yes, ma'am.
You quit after this event?
Yes, I did.
That's what I read. How long had you been driving for the plaintiff?
This was my second trip.
Have any trouble your first trip?
None.
Have you driven before?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
A number of years. I'm a previous limo company owner in the state of Colorado.
Can you tell me why you quit?
I'm too old for that kind of excitement.
Had nothing to do with the way the plaintiff ran his business?
No, ma'am.
Just the way the evening turned out, you didn't need the aggravation?
Correct.
Got it. Did you inspect the bus before you took off?
Yes, I did.
Did you inspect the bus afterwards?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe the condition of the bus afterwards?
It was extremely dirty inside with spilled alcohol, mixes, juices. The glass holders that are wood affixed to the interior sidewalls had been ripped off. The glass that was in the partition that's on the bottom of the accordion door for entrance and egress was kicked out. And later inspection in daylight, we saw that the bumper had been separated from the chassis of the unit.
Do you have photographs of the interior of the bus?
Yes, Judge. This is the inside before, and this is an exterior picture. And then that's the floor and the bumpers and the actual window that's missing.
You did not see how this happened.
One of the party, having been removed from the unit by security of the club, as he exited, was the gentleman who was kicking at the door to try to stop his removal from the unit. When he did exit the bus, he walked to the rear of the bus and jumped up and down on the bumper.
That person, the person who tried to keep the door open.
Yes, ma'am.
And was that a member of her party?
Correct.
All right, Miss Yates. Ball is in your court. I'll hear you. Quickly.
About what?
About what do you mean about what? You better stop drinking. You can't lose any cells. You're the defendant in a case.
Well, I didn't cause any of those damages.
Yeah, you didn't. I mean, I don't know whether you did or whether you didn't, but somebody in your party did. Multiple people in your party did. There are bloodstains there. The place is a mess. You're responsible for that. And this gentleman says that somebody from your party was responsible for the exterior damage to the bus as well. You have any defense?
The fight took place off of the bus. It didn't take place on the bus. And I don't think that they caused the outside damages.
Can I have an estimate of the damages, please?
Yes,
or
Can
the
I
receipts?
add something?
What?
When he called me and told me that there's damages on the bus, he's like, you don't have to drive down here, just send the money order to this address so you don't have to waste any time driving all the way down here to see the damages.
How much did you pay for the evening, Miss Yates?
I believe it was $700.
$700? For how many hours?
From 9 to 1.
I gave her a good deal, Judge.
Did you tip the driver?
Yes, I did.
How much?
I believe it was 50 or...
How much did you tip you?
$5, Your Honor.
That's not true. Because how
what do you mean you believe it was 50?
Because when we all got on the bus, there was the last people who got on the bus. We went back to my house to pick up one more person, and whatever they paid me for the balance of how much I was paying that night, I gave it straight to him.
All right, fine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
We just don't allow that. Now, if you don't understand that, sir, I'm going to get you a tape of this case. You can go home and you can play it on instant replay until you do understand it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Limo company owner Stephen Greger says Ashley Yates owes for limo damages as a result of a drunken brawl on her birthday.
Okay. Originally, I was going to cut your bill, Mr. Greger, $900. Actually, looks to me like at least $900 worth of damage to this bus. She's responsible for it. She's a little ditzy. Don't rent any more property that you can't take care of. Do you understand? If you have drunken friends, keep them in your house. Who do you live with?
My mother.
You live with your mother? Maybe your mother wants to have these 25 drunks in her house. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We build these buses like tanks. I mean, they have metal floors in them. The framing's 16 inches on center. It's really hard to break these buses.
I've got better things to do than try to damage my own equipment.
Be more careful with who I rent buses from and stuff.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Griffin versus James Evans. Step forward.
Jessica Griffin is suing her ex-boyfriend, Sir Patrick Evans, and his girlfriend, Christina James, for a loan to pay court fines after Sir Patrick was arrested on marijuana charges.
Miss Griffin, this used to be your boyfriend, and you have a child with him. You paid some bail and court fines. You want him to pay you back.
Yes, ma'am.
The only reason that the current girlfriend, Miss James, is involved is she gave you a check at some point for part of the bail, but she wasn't involved in whatever it was that brought him to the attention of the law?
No, ma'am.
Good. You are dismissed. Sit. Hands out of pockets. What did we get arrested for?
Weed possession.
Weed possession.
Intent to sell.
A large amount of weed or a small
No, it was
amount?
a small amount.
Was this the first arrest or not?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
No tapping. Now, she wasn't involved in your arrest for possession of drugs, was she?
No, ma'am.
It was just you.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had court fines?
In Maryland, they give you a sentence or a fine.
A sentence or a fine?
Yeah, so basically.
Okay, so when you were arrested, she bailed you out.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you had a choice of either paying the fine or doing the time.
Correct. 12 months or $2,000.
See what a fast learner I am in Maryland? And because you had the $2,000 in bond...
They let me go free?
They let you go free. But it wasn't your $2,000. It was her $2,000. Great. That's really... You know, I'm a simple girl. Now, you paid her back some of that money. How much did you pay her back?
I gave her a check.
No, don't look over there.
I gave her a check that I already had from my job, and just recently...
How much was that check?
$300. The 300 was towards the money that I needed to get out. I didn't agree to pay her anything.
Just a second. I don't care whether you did or not. I just want to know how much you gave her back.
$300.
$300. Well, she says you actually gave her $600.
That came from a friend of mine, so that was basically my money plus my friend's money.
So she got back $600, so all she says she's out is $1,400. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, Mr. Evans, this is my point, sir. You committed a crime. The state said to you, you either pay us a fine or you stay in jail. She posted the money for the fine so that you could, in effect, get out of jail. She got back from either you and or your friend $600 of the $2,000. So the only money that she paid in order for you to avoid jail was $1,400.
Right.
And I believe you about all of that. You owe her the $1,400.
How? I never agreed to pay it.
I don't care whether you did or not. Let me try to explain it to you as simplistically as possible. Don't look confused until I'm finished.
I'm definitely confused.
Then you can look confused, Mr. Evans.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Your fine is like your jail time. And just as we don't allow people in this country to pay somebody else to do their jail time, because otherwise you just have a lot of poor people in jail and a lot of rich people who are supposed to be in jail not in jail. That would have been fair, right? I mean, let's say you commit a murder and you're really rich and you're sentenced to 30 years. And there's some poor guy who's got 6 kids and he says, well, you know, I'm going to give you $10 million if you go and serve my 30 years for me.
Happened. I've seen it.
You've seen it.
Not witnessed it personally, but I've...
Don't talk to me about, you know, the talk line. Talk to me about only what you've witnessed. We don't do that, at least knowingly in this country, allow other people to serve prison time for us by paying them. We just don't allow that because prison time is supposed to be both rehabilitative and punitive. It's supposed to get punished for doing the wrong thing. So far, the only one that got punished was her. Do you understand? She got punished because you sold weed. She's out $1,400. You're out zippity-doo. So that is unfair and not what the justice system is designed to prevent, which is people replicating their conduct. Now, if you don't understand that, sir, I'm going to get you a tape of this case. You can go home and you can play it on instant replay until you do understand it. In the meantime, you owe her $1,400. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bodies are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yeah, it's case number 161 on the calendar in the matter of Zaluki versus Birch.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Zaluki, the defendant was a roommate in your condo apartment.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she moved out 2 months prior to the termination of the lease. You want your money.
Roger.
And you also were requesting some money for property damage that her dog allegedly did in the house. Miss Birch acknowledges she moved out prior to the termination of her lease.
Correct.
She says several things, however. She says that you moved an army of people into the house during the time she was a tenant in the house. She had every reason to leave. And she is counterclaiming because she says that somebody did something very nasty to her dog. So let's have a few questions to you, Mr. Zaluki. First of all, where was this apartment?
Your Honor, it was North Hollywood.
When did you sign a lease?
It was July 1st of 2009, Your Honor.
And how did you meet the defendant?
Your Honor, I actually have known Nicole for quite some time now.
From where?
We used to work together TGI Fridays in Kansas.
How long have you known her?
I've known Nicole for almost 6 years now, Your Honor.
Did you come out to California together?
No, we did not.
Who came first?
I came out here first, Your Honor.
And she came out afterwards and moved into your apartment?
Yes, that's correct.
How many people were in the apartment at the time?
Your Honor, to be more specific about the situation, I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment with one of my roommates, Greg. At one point, Nicole came to visit us to kind of, get a feel for how California was to see if she really wanted to move out. At that point, she, acknowledged that she would want to move in with us. So what we
So you took a larger apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. You took a 3-bedroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
And all 3 of you were on the lease?
Yes, Your Honor.
When did your girlfriend move in?
Your Honor, she moved in officially, and she's my wife, actually.
When did she move in?
February of 2010.
When did she start staying there?
She started staying there in November of 2009. On and off when she came to visit from her home country.
From her own what?
Home country, Your Honor. She's from Poland.
So she started staying with you in November of '09.
That's correct.
Now, did she share a room with you?
Yes, she
shared your room with you.
Yes.
Did she pay any additional rent?
Negative.
The answer is negative.
Okay.
So you had another person living in the house, and you were still splitting the rent 3 ways.
Yes, correct.
Now, who was this other person who was crashing on the couch, Miss Birch?
That would be Matt's friend, Joe.
And why was he crashing on your couch?
Your Honor, back when we were in the 2-bedroom apartment, he lost his job and didn't have a place to stay. So out of kindness of my heart and my other roommate, we decided to give him a place to stay until he got back on his feet and got a new job. At that point, it did transfer over to the 3-bedroom.
What does that mean, it transferred over to the 3-bedroom?
That he was still with us at the point when we went to the 3-bedroom. So when Nicole moved into the 3-bedroom, Your Honor, he was still there.
And you're still splitting the rent 3 ways?
Correct. And the agreement that we had with Joe was that because he had scarce money, he was on unemployment, so he would either help out with food, occasionally he'd help out with occasional money. So if we had utilities or any other bills, I would pay them with Joe's money, and then the remaining amount would get dispersed 3 ways.
So far, you moved 2 extra people into an apartment where there was supposed to be only 3 people, Mr. Zaluki.
Absolutely. And, Your Honor, and Nicole was fully knowledgeable about Joe at that time, and she had no problems with him. She was actually pretty good friends with him.
Whose friend was he?
He originally was me and Greg, the other roommate's friend.
Right. He came with you.
Yes, correct.
He came according to you as a package. When did you move out, Miss Birch?
March 14th of 2010.
Tell me why.
Well, first, to start off, yes, there were too many people living in the house. At that point, Joe had moved out, but he'd lived there 8.5 months. I was not okay, by the way, with him living there. And when I voiced my opinion, there was nothing that they would do to appease me. And Joe was paying $400 a month. I never saw a dime of that money, and my rent was not reduced because of it. Then on top of that, the big thing was with my dog. I know Tootsie, my dog, Cocker Spaniel, did damage to the carpet, which I paid after I'd moved out. I paid him $250, which covered more than what it cost him to clean the carpet. I paid him extra in case he had to paint my room or something like that. And I also paid all of April so that he'd have enough notice. So I gave him pretty much 45 days notice.
So you moved out March 14th.
Correct.
And you paid March's rent and April's rent.
Correct.
Tell me why you moved out.
Okay. At that point, it was more a matter of it felt like a ship was going down. Our utilities, as far as what I would pay utilities, I would pay the amount he asked me to pay, and the cable would still get shut off, or the gas would get shut off, even though I'd given him the full amount that he asked. None of Joe's money was going towards any of that. Greg was late on rent. Out of the 9.5 months that I lived there, we received 7 3-day notices of eviction.
Why is that, Mr. Zaluki?
Your Honor, ultimately it comes down to our 3rd roommate was always late.
When did Miss Birch tell you that she was leaving?
I'd say the 2nd week of February. Nicole came to me saying that she was unhappy with the living situation.
What was she unhappy with?
She was unhappy about the fact that Greg was always late on rent, and we always kept getting a 3-day notice.
Right.
And she was nervous about that.
So Miss Birch came to you and said, I'm unhappy with you and your friend Greg.
Yes, correct.
And a whole bunch of other things, because by that time your girlfriend is now living with you full time and not paying any rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Joe is at this point just leaving.
Yes, Your Honor.
But he's been there 8.5 months.
Yes, Your Honor.
And all you guys and your girlfriend can't get your rent together on time. Was her rent ever late?
Mine and hers were.
No, hers.
No, Your Honor.
And where's Greg?
Greg, well...
You're not going to be able, Mr. Zaluki, to think fast enough for me.
Yes.
Where is Greg?
Currently, Your Honor?
Yes.
He is, I'm not sure. He moved out.
When?
July 1st.
And are you currently living in the apartment with just your wife?
No, Your Honor.
Who lives there?
No one, Your Honor. I gave up the apartment, fixed everything, cleaned up, and returned it to the
when
landlord.
you moved out of the apartment, how many people were living there?
It was just me, Your Honor, my wife, and Greg.
That's 3 people.
Yes, Your Honor.
3 people to share the rent.
2 people, Your Honor.
No, 3.
Okay.
At your choice.
Yes, Your Honor.
She moved into an apartment, sir, with 3 people.
Yes, Your Honor.
3 people on the lease. 5 people lived there at various times.
Yes, Your Honor.
She doesn't have to tolerate that.
I understand that, Your Honor, but ultimately she knew about that. She agreed to it. When she moved in, she never had a problem with that.
I want to tell you something, sir.
Yes.
She didn't agree to have your girlfriend there. You brought her. I want to ask if you had a powwow and said, I would like my girlfriend to come and live with us. She is not going to pay any rent. And is that okay with you?
Your Honor, I did have that conversation. I sat down with all the roommates and told them, this is what's going on.
Not told them. I didn't ask you whether you told them.
I did ask them what they thought about it. They all liked Dorothy very much. They were actually really good friends. Dorothy asked Nicole if she could be her maid of honor, which she agreed. So there was no problems whatsoever within the household.
Well, there must have been a problem, sir. You told me that she came to you in February and told you she wanted to leave.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You and your friend, the moron who maybe slept on the couch or somebody else, ever give her dog alcohol?
Negative, Your Honor.
And later today.
Listen to me carefully, Miss Cornelius. You lied to me.
I didn't lie to you.
Yes, you did. You lied to me in your complaint.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You may say no. I'm going to have the last word. I'm telling you that you did.
Former roommate Nicole Birch broke their lease. Nicole says she had every right to do so. She is countersuing, claiming someone in the apartment fed alcohol to her dog.
Now, she didn't want to leave because of anything other than there were a whole bunch of financially irresponsible people.
Yes, absolutely.
You had Joe sacking out on the couch because he wasn't working. You had your girlfriend coming over from Europe. She wasn't working. You had your friend Gregory, who was living with you and not paying his rent on time.
Yes.
And you had her, who was getting a 3-day eviction notice every month.
And, Your Honor, I took that burden upon myself, and I took care of it. She never paid any extra out of pocket. I took care of it. We were never evicted.
You don't have to be evicted, sir. It goes down on your credit. You're late on a car payment, you're late on your rent. All that stuff accumulates, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
You lived there with 3 people the last 2 months of your lease.
Yes.
You, Greg, and your fiancée/wife.
Yes, Your Honor.
Pay your own rent.
I agree, Your Honor, and I did
Good.
pay my own rent.
Perfect. Pay your own rent.
Yes.
For the apartment.
For the apartment,
She's not paying anymore.
Your Honor, we had an agreement.
Mr. Zaluki, pay careful attention to me.
Yes.
She's not paying anymore. Now we're going to get to the dog damage. Did she give you $250 to clean the carpet?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Can I see proof that you gave him $250 for any damage that your dog did to the carpet?
It shows that I transferred it to his account after I moved out.
See it. By the way, Mr. Zaluki, did she pay April's rent?
Your Honor, she did not pay full April's rent.
That requires a yes or a no.
No, Your Honor.
Do you have proof that you paid April's rent?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please. How much was her rent?
$833, Your Honor.
She paid it on April 2nd. And she paid you $250 on May 7th to clean the carpet. Now I'm going to get to your counterclaim. Did you and your friend, the moron who maybe slept on the couch or somebody else, ever give her dog alcohol?
Negative,
No.
Your Honor.
Do you have a dog?
I do have a dog, Your Honor.
What kind of a dog do you
It's a
have?
Corgi Terrier.
Is there only one dog in the house?
At the time when we were living with Nicole, yes. When Dorothy moved in February, there was another dog.
Was there a pet deposit that you had to put down with your landlord?
Yes.
For whose dog? No. When you signed the lease, who had a dog?
When we signed the lease, Nicole had a dog.
And you put down a pet deposit?
Yes.
How much?
$250.
So is what you're telling me that pet deposit was still on the books when your girlfriend moved in with her dog?
Yes, correct.
You got a lot of nerve.
Your Honor, at that point...
I'm not listening. That's a statement, sir, which did not require an answer.
Okay.
Now, your counterclaim says that your dog got sick. You took the dog to the vet. The vet report is going to indicate that somebody fed the dog some sort of alcohol.
Or, yeah, poison. That's what...
I'd like to see it.
It's just all I have was the receipt.
Well, that's not good enough for me.
Okay.
That's because anything else that you have to tell me is hearsay.
It does show that they gave her Toxaban, though, the charcoal.
If you had a medical report, I would read it.
Okay.
But you don't have a medical report, so I can't just look at that and then you tell me that the dog was sick and somebody told you that the dog had been fed some sort of a toxic material. Mr. Zaluki, I hope you're happy with your wife. She doesn't owe you any money.
Your Honor.
Case is dismissed.
Your Honor.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm the type of person that if there's 10 people living there, that's fine.
You know, I paid money to be a friend and help the situation out.
But I'm not paying a third of the rent if 10 people are living there.
So people actually have a home, and
I think everything fell apart around September. That's when we had our first 3-day notice of eviction.
other people are, you know, can't live up to their responsibilities.
And that was the first huge red flag, and everything just kind of unraveled after that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cornelius versus Turner. Step forward.
22-year-old Michelle Cornelius is suing her former roommate, 22-year-old Brittany Turner, for unpaid rent and for damaging her TV.
Miss Cornelius, how old are you?
I'm 22.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for assisted living, doing direct support care, working with the mentally disabled.
How long have you been working there?
I've been there for a year and a half now.
And you, Miss Turner, how old are you?
I'm 22.
And where do you work?
I work at Addis Healthcare. I'm a home care aide.
How long have you been there?
Since 2008.
Miss Cornelius, it is your claim that she owes you for some rent from when she was living with you on a broken television set.
Yes.
That's from a year ago.
Yes.
And, you know, I have an aversion towards cases that are a year old. So I read your case very carefully, which is why I asked you these questions. Because what you said was you didn't know how to get in touch with her.
No, I didn't.
Well, what do you mean you didn't know how to get in touch with her? She works at the same place where she's worked since 2008.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Me and her became to tussle. We started wrestling on the floor. And by the time I pushed Brittany off of me, she picked up my candle decorations off my table and threw it at my TV.
Brittany Turner owes for rent and for smashing her TV. Brittany claims it's Michelle's fault her TV was damaged.
So it's very easy to track her down and to file a small claims court against her. What?
I could never catch Brittany up there. It's not like if I go into her job thing.
When did you file a claim against her?
In May.
May of what?
2010.
May of 2010. So I'm saying you filed the same case against her in May of 2009, and you have her served at her place of business.
This just happened May 28th of 2009.
Then you filed the complaint in June 2009.
But Brittany explained to me that she was going to pay me my money.
That's not what you told me here, Miss Cornelius. In your complaint, you say to me, I was unable to track her down. You didn't say to me, when you swore to this complaint, I kept speaking to her and she kept telling me she was going to pay me. What?
I only spoke to Brittany once, then her phone was cut off.
Now you got 30 seconds to tell me about your case, because now I'm not believing much of what you're saying to me. Go.
Well, I met Brittany. You know,
I don't care where you met her. She moved in with you. What months does she owe you rent for?
She owes me for April and May.
And tell me about the television set.
Brittany came in my house one day. She was going out. She went out one day on Thursdays. She came in the house knocking on the door loud and everything because she couldn't get in. She couldn't find her keys or something because she was drunk. I let her in the house. She was coming there noisy, I guess, from partying. She was still hyped up or whatever, and she was loud. I asked her could she quiet down because me and my daughter were asleep. She told me no, I didn't have to be quiet because I pay rent here. I explained to Brittany that she hasn't paid any rent for 2 months, and she was still loud. She ended up pushing up on me, getting in my face, and I asked her to back up. She's still pushing up on me in my face. Me and her became to tussle. We started wrestling on the floor, and by the time I pushed Brittany off of me, she picked up my candle decorations off my table and threw it at my TV. It's a set. She threw the whole set at the TV, and which I have pictures. She put 2 holes.
Did you report it to the police?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because after she did that, I asked her to leave. I told her she had to go. She needs to go now. She left the premises with no problem.
But she destroyed your property, according to you.
Yes, she did.
Well, that's a police matter.
I didn't think to call the police right then and there.
All right, Ms. Turner, your turn.
Okay, I did go out for drinks, Your Honor, but I never came home rowdy. Michelle was going tit for tat for me. She has an anger problem, first of all.
No, I don't.
Yes, I agree, we did.
Don't interrupt her.
We did have a tussle, but after we got through tussling, Michelle picked up her own candle holder, threw it at me, and I ducked her. She had her own TV. So I'm not understanding why she's saying I bust her TV open, because to my knowledge, I did. I never was drunk or anything. I had 2 drinks that night. So I'm not understanding.
What do you mean you're not understanding?
Why she said I bust her TV.
Well, she's saying because she says that that's what happens. You say she took a candlestick and threw it at you and it missed you and hit her TV.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying?
Yes.
I don't know who's telling the truth and who's not.
My witness is here, Kiana Wise. I called her after the TV.
I don't care if you called her. She wasn't there. She's not a witness.
Okay.
Unless she, of course, confessed to her that she broke your TV.
No, she told me she would pay for everything. She told me, she was like, I understand that I did break the TV, and I'm going to pay to get it fixed. I'm going to pay you and your rent money. She told me that.
I don't believe that, Ms. Cornelius.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, listen to me carefully, Ms. Cornelius. You lied to me.
I didn't lie to you.
Yes, you did. You lied to me in your complaint.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You may say, no, I'm going to have the last word. I'm telling you that you did. You tell me that the reason you didn't file this complaint is because you couldn't locate her.
I couldn't.
Until, hey, she's been working at the same place. Well, you already got that down pat. And I don't want to hear, I went up there and I didn't know if I could find her. I didn't know you could reach her. Let me ask you this question. When you filed your small claims court case against her this time, where did you serve her?
To her house, her mom's house. That was the
Just
last...
a second. Where has your mother been living?
Well, for the last 7, 8 months, she's been living in Blue Island.
Is that where you're staying?
Yeah, from time to time, not really, no.
Who gave you the summons?
It came through UPS. That I was
That's the same way you serve her at her job.
They told me
June.
I needed, when I tried to serve her and put her address, the court explained to me I needed a house address.
Well, that's not true. You can serve her.
That's what they told me, and that's why I was trying to figure out a house address, and I knew if I sent it to her mother's house, hopefully her mother would give her the summons.
Miss Cornelius, I'm not satisfied about who broke your television set, so I'm dismissing your claim.
But if she knows what about the rent? She owes
Earlier, June 2009, not July 2010. Do you understand? This was wrong.
How was that wrong? She didn't pay me for April and May.
I'm not going to tell you again. It was wrong because you could find her. You just chose not to for a year.
I did look for. I looked for her.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yeah, it's case number 316 on the calendar in the matter of Diaz-Garcia versus Torres-Manjarrez.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
How old are you, young man?
16.
You just get your driver's license?
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. And how did you damage Mr. Garcia's car?
Well, I don't know if it was damaged already.
I don't care what you know. How did you damage Mr. Garcia's car?
I opened my door.
Explain that to me.
Well, I parked in a tight spot.
Why?
Because I was running late to work.
And the only parking spot was very, very small.
Yes.
What kind of car were you driving?
Silverado.
Big car?
Yeah. Yes.
Whose car is it?
My car.
Mother's car. How long have you been driving it?
Since I got my license.
Which was when?
August 23rd.
And when did you hit Mr. Garcia's car?
September 4th.
So, within a week of getting your license, you had your first accident.
Yes.
So you parked in a spot that was too small for your car because you were in a rush.
Yes.
And when you hit his car, you hit the mirror of his car.
Yes.
With your big Silverado truck. What kind of car was Mr. Garcia's?
Dodge Dakota.
What did you do when you hit it?
I waited for security because security's always walking around.
What do you mean you waited for security? You just stood at your car?
Yeah, waited in my car for security to come.
You waited in your car?
Well, outside, standing on it.
Yeah. What's your first name?
Edgar.
Edgar. Let's start that again. You got out of your car because you were late.
Yes.
You parked in a spot that you shouldn't have parked in. You hit Mr. Garcia's mirror. You started to give me a whole story about you didn't know if it was damaged before or what it looked like before. And then you just stood there for security to come.
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Or are you telling me that security came by?
I waited for security to come.
How long did you wait?
5 minutes.
You waited 5 minutes for security?
Well, I don't know the exact time, but it was a few minutes.
How many seconds did you wait for security? How many seconds did you wait?
20, 30.
20 seconds. Now, when you hit Mr. Garcia's car, did you call your boss to tell him you'd be late?
Yes.
So that would be a record of that in the phone. Before security came, did you call your boss and tell him you'd be late?
No.
No. Because you could have called your boss and told him that you were going to be late before security came, right?
Yes.
Because you knew there'd probably be paperwork. But you didn't. You just stood there and waited for security. Now, you were running late for work. What time were you do you understand where we're going, madam?
Yes, I am. I understand.
I knew you would understand. There is nothing more satisfying than grilling a teenager when he's trying to make excuses. Now, where were you exactly when security came upon your car? Where were you standing?
Outside.
Outside where? Front or back of the car?
Side door.
No, because that was a very, very narrow space, narrow enough so that you hit his window. So you weren't standing in between unless they came up on you.
They came up on me.
That's right. Now, Edgar, anything else you want to tell me?
Supervisor of security was standing waiting for me because I'm not supposed to be by myself because I'm underage outside of the casino.
What does that mean? You're not supposed to be by yourself, you're underage?
Because it's at a casino.
Yes? What do you do there, Edgar?
I work at the fun center as a party attendant.
What time were you due at work that day?
4.
And what time was it when you hit Mr. Garcia's car?
Right before 4.
How much before?
Like 2 minutes, probably like 3:58.
Perfect. Can I see a picture of the mirror of your car? Is what you're telling me the mirror fell off?
Yes, Your Honor.
What year is your car, Mr. Garcia?
98.
What year is your car?
2007.
Do you want to tell me why you think your son is not responsible and therefore you're responsible for replacing this mirror?
I am insured, and Mr. Diaz wanted cash from the beginning and brought me a falsified receipt.
Just a second. If you have insurance...
Yes.
Just a second. Do you have a deductible on your insurance?
Yes, I do.
How much?
$500.
And how much did he want to fix the mirror?
$306.
So then why would you go through your insurance?
Because my car's not damaged. I wasn't going to pay the deductible.
Just a second. Your car had no damage at all?
No, my car's not damaged at all.
Now, if you report that your 16-year-old son, who had a license for 4 days, had his first accident, how much do you think your insurance would go up? A lot.
Probably.
So why wouldn't you want to take care of this bill for $300 without going through your insurance?
Because at the moment that it happened, I was in ICU with my husband.
Just a second.
And I wasn't
So is what you're telling me it was not a good time?
No, no. The accident happened, and I texted Mr. Garcia, Mr. Diaz, which I have the report from my company. I was in ICU at the moment I couldn't take the call.
Listen to me. This is not a drama. I asked you a question. If I had a 16-year-old son who had his first accident 5 days after he got his license, there was no question that the damage he caused was his fault because he parked in a very tight spot, he wasn't careful opening his door, he hit somebody else's car. You are absolutely liable. The damage was small, and it could have been handled for a small amount of money, whereas if you reported it to your insurance companies, your premium would have gone up over the next, I don't know, 5 years, 7 years, however much it was. I guarantee you far more than $300.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His insurance company conducted an investigation and determined that the accident was your fault, and therefore his insurance company was not going to pay.
No.
And later today,
what other money do you think that he owes you for other than the $225?
I'm real strong about the travel arrangements, Your Honor.
I don't care if you're strong about them. Keep going.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jose Diaz Garcia says co-worker 16-year-old Edgar Manjarres sideswiped his side view mirror. Edgar and his mother, Daniela Torres, are countersuing for harassment and threats.
Now, I understand that you were in ICU with your husband. That has nothing to do with this accident.
No, but I am insured, and I offered to pay, but he brought me a Dodge printout with the amount, which is correct, because that's what my mechanic told me, but under it he wrote more money. I'm not going to give him more than what it is.
Just a second. If you were going through your insurance company, you told me you were going to go through your
I was going to go through my, he offered, which is a minor. I wasn't around when it happened. He texted me and said, I got into an accident, and I go, okay, fine, I'll fix it when I come back. By then, he had offered money to Mr. Diaz. Not offered. They came into a mutual agreement.
He can't come to an agreement with a 16-year-old.
Well, because he's a minor. So when I came back, I said, no, we are insured. I've been paying insurance for 23 years.
Fine, so you wanted to go through your insurance.
Yes, but then he kept on texting me, and I said, I can't answer your phone calls right now. I'll call you when I get back. And he put a claim with this insurance company, which he did but it got declined because he didn't want to give them my info. He didn't want to go through my insurance.
He didn't want to go through your insurance?
No, I have farmers.
That's not true.
Why would he not want to go through your insurance?
It is declined.
I just want to see what letter she has, please. They conducted an investigation and determined that the accident was your fault, and therefore his insurance company was not going to pay.
No. No, yes, that's what happened. I'm not saying that's not what happened.
That's what this letter says.
Yes, and when I offered him my insurance, when that came along to my house, he said he wanted cash and brought me the receipt.
Fine. You have to pay him for his car. How much is it to replace the window?
The total right now is $549.
I want to see what you have to replace this mechanism,
right
and
there,
then the defendant is going to show me what she says she can have it fixed for, the same thing.
Yeah,
this
is the original receipt, Your Honor.
Let me see what you have. You have something different?
Yes, well, I have the one he gave me, which I
I'd like to see it.
And they said they didn't write that, but
I'd like to Dodge twice.
Hers. His.
Right. 306.73. Okay, so you have to pay for the mirror. No question. You understand that? Your accident, you pay for it. And mother lets you drive a big car, and you act irresponsibly when you're 16 years old. Your mother has to pay for it. And I don't care if you get the money back from your insurance company or not. It's your insurance company. He's not going to go through his insurance, so his insurance goes up. You take care of it yourself. Now I'm going to hear your counterclaim very, very fast.
Okay, my counterclaim is that my son's 16. Mr. Diaz harassed him at work.
How did he harass you at work?
Well, I was walking to go to work, and...
When?
It was a few weeks after.
A few weeks?
Or like the week after. Like the next week, next Saturday.
You have a difficulty with time. A week? 2 weeks? What is it?
Like a week after, the next Saturday.
Go ahead.
And then I was walking, and he saw me and cornered me and said that I need to handle this man-to-man and not to be which means...
Go ahead.
And I told him I can't talk to you, handle this with my mom. She told me she will handle this. And he still kept going, and I told him I can't do this, and I just walked away to go to work.
And?
And that was it. I just went to work.
And what else?
He would still come to the fund center and ask for money and start.
When? Well, so far we're talking about a week later when your mother said, I can't handle this now. So now nobody's handling it, it's a week later. When else did he harass you?
It was probably the next day, Sunday.
No. Let me explain something. If he doesn't remember the date, it couldn't have made much of an impression on him, madam. Do you understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
If your daughter had taken the car, and if she had made the vast majority of her car payments, but was late a couple of times, you would not have repossessed the car, right?
No, I would have.
No.
I would have taken the car back.
I don't think you would have.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jose Diaz Garcia says co-worker 16-year-old Edgar Manjarres sideswiped his side view mirror. Edgar and his mother, Daniela Torres, are countersuing for harassment and threats.
Now, you have to pay Mr. Garcia for his mirror. Mr. Garcia, he could have been more understanding if you were having difficulties at home with a husband who was ill. However, he's not a member of your family, so if he chooses not to be more understanding, I can't legally fault him. It's your son's responsibility. He did the wrong thing.
I have a feeling he wasn't standing around waiting for security. I have a feeling that security came upon him. That's what I think. I think this baloney of him standing around waiting for somebody to come is just that, a lot of baloney, because he didn't call his boss right away and say, I'm going to be late. I'm waiting here for security. He didn't call his boss until security came upon him and got him. That's what he just told me. So I can understand Mr. Garcia's frustration. Should he have approached a 16-year-old? Probably not. But since your son couldn't even remember whether it was a week later or 2 weeks later, it clearly didn't make that much of an impression on him. You owe Mr. Garcia $306.73. Your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He deserved to get paid for his damage, but he didn't have to call my son up and cornered him.
This is the first time I heard that. I said that to him, but I never said anything to him.
I saw the mirror on the floor. I don't know if it was damaged already.
All of us asking just to pay, and that was it.
He was harassing my son, and he still is.
I believe that parents, they need to talk to their kids and vice versa, and take responsibility together.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Tam versus Beard. Step forward.
Robin Tam is suing her ex-son-in-law, 21-year-old Timothy Beard, for a car loan, travel costs, and automobile expenses.
Miss Tam, Mr. Beard was married to your daughter. While they were married, you co-signed for a car for the two of them. When they separated and or divorced, Mr. Beard kept the car and moved out of state. That was by agreement. And he was making payments on the car. Then he stopped making payments on the car. Things got a little tight. You went and picked up the car. But there was an agreement between the two of you that you were going to go and pick up the car. Otherwise, I assume you would have had a marshal to come and pick it up. But you went and picked up the car, you brought it home, and you believe he owes you a whole lot of money for a whole bunch of things. Your air tickets to go and pick up the car, the payments that you had to make on the car, and you'll tell me what else. I think Mr. Beard probably owes you some money, so let's start out with that, Mr. Beard, so you'll make my life somewhat easier. How many months were you behind in your car payment?
I had made a payment in October that was $35 short. Now, the next month, I had made a late payment, which was late, and it was a late charge. I made a $75 payment.
What was the car payment you were supposed to make?
It's $195.
Well, $75 payment is no payment,
Correct,
Mr. Beard.
correct.
Banks don't want to know that you're making a $75 payment or a $15 payment or a $10 payment. So far, what I have is you are 1 full month's behind in your car payment.
Yeah, basically, pretty much, yeah.
And the car payment was $195?
It was $195.19 to be exact.
In what month did Miss Tam come to pick up the car?
Her husband and her daughter actually came and picked the car up.
When?
It had to have been December 3rd, December 5th, maybe.
In December?
Right at the very beginning of December.
And where did they pick the car up from?
From my uncle's house, who I was living with at the time.
At the time, Miss Tam, that your husband and your daughter went to pick up the car, how many car payments were behind?
According to the bank statement and the call that we received from the bank.
Don't tell me about a call. All I want to know is the bank statement.
$420.95, and that was to catch it up through December.
No, not through December. You picked the car up in December, December 3rd. So not through December. So I'm deducting from the $420, $195. You had the car. So $225. Now, why do you think he owes you any more than $225?
Well, when it came to the travel expenses, he did not agree to have us come get the car.
I don't care. He don't get travel expenses. What else?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Okay. Where's the car now?
We're trying to sell the car right now.
Who drove the car last week?
Cheyenne drove it in Mountain Home.
And 2 weeks ago, who drove the car?
Cheyenne did.
So she's driving the car. I don't care what you're trying to do.
She was trying to help us sell the car.
Your contract was with both your daughter and your former son-in-law. Now you have the car back. What other money do you think that he owes you for other than the $225 that he used when he drove the car and he didn't pay for?
I'm real strong about the travel arrangements, Your Honor, because
I don't care
of the
if you're strong about them. Keep going.
Because of the resistance that we got from giving us the car.
Listen to me. Now, I understand it that you don't want your credit to be placed in jeopardy because of somebody who's now a stranger to you. But if your daughter had taken the car, and if she had made the vast majority of her car payments, but was late a couple of times, you would not have repossessed the car, right?
No, I would have.
No.
I would have taken the car back.
I don't think you would have. What kind of work does your daughter do now?
She's like in a accredited school program.
Does that mean she works or doesn't work?
She doesn't work.
She doesn't work. So who makes the car payment?
Right now I do.
Right. Now, if you repossess the car, you could sell the car, but you choose to let your daughter, who's not paying for the car, that's in violation of your contract, drive the car. Right?
She drove it for 2 weeks.
I don't, listen to me, don't tell me 2 weeks. So, your contract was with the two of them. And when I said to you, if your daughter was a couple of $100 behind in a car payment, you wouldn't have repossessed it. You said, yes, I would have. But she's driving the car now, not paying a penny.
Understand.
But judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $225. That's all.
Judge Judy.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Now it's case number 369 on the calendar in the matter of Keniston versus Nagy.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Keniston, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for a trip that you booked that he was supposed to accompany you on along with his daughter. Mr. Nagy says that he never agreed to go on the trip with you, that it was your idea, you booked it without solidifying the events with him, and that you've become a real pain in the neck, been annoying him, been annoying his daughter, and he wants you to leave him alone. You met him at a bowling league, is that where you met?
Correct.
Tell me when that was.
Probably about 3 years ago, when I first met him.
Did you ever date Mr. Nagy?
Well, in April, we started seeing each other. When we started having dinner all the time, we started going places.
Okay. So now tell me about this trip.
So on June 16th, we'd gone to dinner, and we went through my little day timer, and I had dates of his summer schedule.
Why did you have his summer schedule in your date planner?
Because we were trying to book our vacation or book our time in Chelan, and so I was writing down when Haley was gone.
Go ahead.
So we sat down to look at weekends or dates. He was also taking a trip to Disneyland with Haley, and Haley was at camp. She was with her mother for a week, so we were trying to find a weekend that would work. We were taking Haley to Chelan, Washington, to the water slides. So I said, go ahead and you pick the dates that work for you. I can make it work. So he did.
He did what?
He picked the dates.
What did he say? Tell me
we were going to leave the 17th of July, which is a Saturday, and we were going to come back on Tuesday. That was his call.
Keep going.
So the night before...
Night before what?
Before we were supposed to leave. So it was the night of the 16th.
Just a minute. We didn't get to the point where you made the arrangements.
I made the arrangements on the 17th.
On the 17th of what?
In June, I made the arrangements to go.
Why didn't he make the arrangements?
Because I had been there before.
Why didn't you just say, this is the place where I think we should go? If you're taking your daughter, you make the arrangements.
We just had agreed that I would do it. So I did it.
Tell me how that agreement came about. That's what this is all about.
We sat at dinner, we talked about it. I said, okay, what day do you want me to call, and what day should we do this for? He pointed out the days and said, I think this will work. And I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and solidify the dates then. And I called him or texted him the day that I did it and said, okay, I've done that. Here's when we're going. And I was talking to him on the phone, and he said, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay all those days. And I said, Kevin, I would have appreciated if you let me know ahead of time. You know I can't make any cancellations. So we had talked about maybe taking separate cars, and that was a workaround. That was fine with me. So Saturday morning, I went to pick him up and knocked on the door. No one was home. And I left and went back into town, did some errands, and then I went back about an hour later, knocked on the door, no one was home. Then I get a text from him that said, is that you knocking on the door? Knock it off, no one's home. And I said, Kevin, we are supposed to check in by 3 o'clock. What's going on here? And he never did respond. I said, okay, I'm going to go. I guess I'm going to drive over, and I expect you to be there, that you'll be there by dinner time, because I don't know what's going on.
Your Honor.
Okay, now your version, Mr. Nagy.
Okay, thank you. I known her from bowling. That's all we were. We're just friends. But it was late June, early July. She said she needed to go on vacation.
Look at me.
Okay.
late
and
June.
just make sure, Mr. Nagy, I want to tell you something. I'm getting a picture in my mind, so just let's make sure you tell me what the truth is.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't make up any stories,
No, there's
and then we're going to be just fine.
No stories. Late June, early July, she told me that she needed a vacation. She needed to get out of town. She hasn't
Stop playing with papers.
She hasn't been there on a vacation in a while. I told her that I don't have any time to go on vacation, this or that. Well, she said because my daughter's birthday and my birthday is in July, she says because she booked a condo trip, it was an extra room, she said we could go and this would be a way to celebrate our birthdays. And I told her that there's no way that I'm going to be able to take off these days even if I wanted to go. And I told her that I don't want to go. So then July 16th, we're going to play softball.
Who's going to play softball?
Played on a softball team with her that she paid for me to play.
You play
We played on a co-ed softball team during the summer.
Okay, and what do you mean she paid for you to play?
She needed extra players to play. I got an email here that says, we just lost another player. Can I bribe you to play? So I agreed, I agreed to play. Plus there's, okay, well, I'll just submit all the other and I'll explain it up there.
Keep going.
Okay, so around the Friday we had a softball game. She did call me and wanted to know if I was going to play, and she talked about this trip that she suddenly surprised me with. I did not know that there was a trip booked till after I got back from Disneyland. But prior to that, I mean, she's just, all she's done is harass me. She's called me. She's texted me. I explained to her I just don't even want to be friends anymore. And this continues.
You mean after the...
No, this has kind of been how it's kind of been throughout the summer.
When you were away at Disney...
Yes.
Did you communicate with the plaintiff, or did she communicate with you?
I believe she communicated me with the text or something, asked me how I was doing on the trip, this or that.
Did you respond?
I believe I did.
So she would text you and say, how was the trip and whatever?
How's it going? Or, hey, how you doing? What are you doing? Yeah.
And you responded?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct. He sent me pictures.
And did you send her pictures?
I believe I sent a picture of me and my daughter and Minnie Mouse.
Okay. So what you have to understand, Mr. Nagy, is that that was by way of encouraging her to do that. You do understand. So that you're not a complete victim here of some stalking lady. When you send a text or in any way reach out, that encourages the behavior that you seem to want to discourage.
But I've sent many texts, I meant, because of how she has been. Emails that I've said that I said, leave me alone, no more texts.
No.
It got to the
I'm
point.
talking,
in Disneyland.
the ones when you said, leave me alone, sir, was in October.
Yeah.
I'm talking about during the summer.
Okay.
You said to me, it was all during the summer. She was annoying me. She was bothering me. So I asked you a simple question. When you were at Disney in July, did you, in fact, communicate with her? And you said yes, so it wasn't all summer.
It wasn't all summer.
And you didn't get back from Disney until July
10th.
So now part of the summer is gone.
Okay.
And then, according to her, you were scheduled to go on this vacation on the 17th. So it was merely a week before that that you were, in fact, voluntarily communicating with her. That doesn't mean you owe her any money. I haven't even heard from her that you owe her any money.
Yes.
I gave her a whole opportunity to tell me the story. And there was nowhere in the story that you agreed to pay for half this trip, that you agreed to pay for any part of this trip. She said, I'll go ahead and book the trip. There was no contractual obligation there. But I don't like when you tell me this story that you were trying to get away from her all summer when you were, in fact, encouraging it.
Okay.
Now you got me?
I got you.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So can we talk about the harassment?
What
He's
harassment?
taking pictures of me behind my back. He's got text messages that are nasty.
You want to show me a picture?
I've got some things for you.
And later today.
You think your son had a drug problem?
I know he has a drug problem. They wake up in the morning, they smoke weed for lunch, dinner, midnight snack.
Mother said you had a drug problem.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kay Kinniston says former friend Kevin Nagy owes for backing out on a vacation. Kevin claims Kay is a stalker.
So it was after the 17th of July when this kerfuffle happened over the vacation that you wanted her to leave you alone.
Well, actually, it started the 16th before, but...
So the 16th?
Yes.
Before. Now, did you play softball subsequent
to the 16th of July.
Yes.
When?
We played every Friday.
Now, what kind of conversation did you have subsequent to July 17th when you were playing ball?
Okay. At the game, I didn't speak a word with her because prior to going to the game, I told her that I'm not going because of what I just explained.
I'm not, just listen to me.
Okay.
We're beyond the trip.
Okay. So at the game, I never said a word to her. She approached my daughter during the game and said, "Are you excited to go to Chelan?"
Listen to me. What part of I'm beyond that didn't you understand? I'm beyond the trip.
Okay.
I said, after the trip, did you have any softball games? You said yes.
Oh.
I said, what conversations did you have with her at those softball games after the trip?
I did not have any conversations at the games. I didn't even finish the season out.
That's what I wanted to know. When was the last time you played?
It ended sometime early August, I believe.
Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, good. It's not a very difficult situation. He's finished, not interested. You were more interested than he was, but you have no contract with him that requires him to pay any part of this vacation that you paid for. You had no, according to you, you had no contract with him. You had no contract with him to pay for half. You had no contract with him to reimburse you for any tickets. The thing that you are angry at is that he chose not to go.
No.
Listen to me. I can play back the tape for you of what your testimony was.
Well, there's more to it.
There was no, I didn't interrupt you. I let you tell me your piece. I let you tell me about what happened on June 16th when you sat down and went over your calendar. You said you would make the arrangements. You texted him and you told him that it was done the next day. And the next thing that you testified to that happened was on the 16th when you called him of July, he said, "I'm not going."
He said I can't stay all of those days.
I don't care what he said. You had no contract with him. And that's what courts are about. Courts are about contracts. Now, I will certainly allow you to show me at this point if you have any agreement by him, either by way of acknowledgement in a text message or anything else in writing, that he agrees to pay you for the trip. I'll certainly look at that. Do you have any of that?
I sent him a text message after we got back and said...
Just a second. Don't tell me about a text message. If you have it, I'll look at it.
Well, I don't have that one with
Well,
me. It's on a phone that's dead.
Then,
so.
Just a second. Do you have something that I can read that comes from his phone that acknowledges a debt to you?
No, but he did tell me he sent me a check.
Can't help you, Miss Kay.
So can we talk about the harassment?
It was what
He's
harassment?
taking pictures of me behind my back and sending me pictures. He's got text messages that are nasty.
You want to show me a picture?
I've got some things for you.
Of what?
This is a picture he took behind my back at bowling.
I don't care. What else?
I've got some text messages that he sent.
Just a second. I'll be more than happy to see those. Do those tell you to leave him alone?
No.
I'd like to see them. Leave me alone.
Well,
that's the first one.
Please.
I was not texting him. He was texting me those nasty emails while he was in bed with another woman, and I wasn't interested.
You don't listen to me. Change your phone number.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I think that you've probably so fried your brain that you think that standing here gives you a license to go toe-to-toe with me. It does not. This is my playpen. Now do we understand each other?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kay Kinniston says former friend Kevin Nagy owes for backing out on a vacation. Kevin claims Kay is a stalker.
Change your phone number. People have to learn to use these text messages and internet and everything else to better purposes than this, but we don't have courts to compensate for that. Here, would you return these things to her, please? Leave each other alone. It's over. Finished. Want to play ball? You know, play with your own friends. That's all.
I agree.
Why is that excuse me step out?
Well, to be honest with you, it was a good decision.
Well, Kevin's lying.
I don't even know why we even went to court over something like this.
He knew about the trip the whole time.
This is ridiculous.
He's a nasty man.
As you see, she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
He says really obscene things to women.
You got to look at the situation. She's a little wacky.
And he treats women very badly.
I'm a good father and a good person, and hey,
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Roby versus Roby. Step forward.
Paul Roby Jr. is suing his mother, Michelle Roby, for moving costs, utility bills, the return of property, and an assault.
Mr. Roby, is this your girlfriend?
She's my wife now.
You have children?
No, I have no children.
Do you work?
Yes.
What do you work for?
I do signatures.
You do what?
Signatures.
What does that mean?
I collect signatures. I let people know that this is to help keep sex offenders in jail, and I get signatures and I get paid by the signature.
What does your wife do?
She's a nurse.
She work full-time?
Yes.
Did she work full-time when you were living with your mother?
Yes. She was a nurse.
And you?
Yes.
Collecting signatures?
Yes.
Did you ever have a drug problem?
No.
Mother said you had a drug problem.
No, I've never had a drug problem.
Do you think your son had a drug problem?
I know he has a drug problem. Both of them have a drug problem. Okay, they smoke weed. I have a lot of pictures to show all of the weed burns in the carpeting and also in their bed and on the walls. They wake up in the morning, they smoke weed for lunch, dinner, midnight snack.
Got it. This is what your lawsuit is about, Mr. Roby. You claim that your mother assaulted you and then destroyed your property when she threw it after an argument that you had with her. She threw it out, threw it on the lawn, got all muddy and destroyed.
Yes.
Your mother says that you actually assaulted her, and she has a counterclaim for assaulting her and for denting her car that she was letting you and your now wife use. Were you using your mother's car?
Well, it wasn't her Toyota.
Whose was it?
It was mine.
Did you purchase it?
My brother purchased it. I had a Chrysler Sebring. I had a lot of problems with the Chrysler Sebring. My brother told me he would buy me another car in exchange that I would junk the Chrysler Sebring and give him the money for the car. Now, what she did is when she went to go pick the car up, she put the car in her name instead of letting me put it in mine, even though I drove the car consistently. She has 3 other cars.
Just a second. How much did you pay for the car?
No, my brother paid for the car.
How much did you pay for the car?
I didn't pay anything. I gave my brother the money for the junk.
Have you always lived with your mother?
No.
When did you return to your mother's house? In what year?
I was 21. I had stayed with another girlfriend of mine in Moreno Valley for a couple years.
When you stay in your mother's house, do you pay her rent?
Yes.
How much?
I paid her $300. I started paying her $400 once she moved in.
And how long has your girlfriend lived there with your mother?
I honestly couldn't tell you exactly. I would estimate a couple years.
How long?
She's lived with me for 5 years.
Your son pay you rent every month?
My son hasn't paid a dime. Neither has his girlfriend. And as far as work...
Why do you let them stay with you?
Well, I felt sorry for her. He brought her into my house because she couldn't live with her mother. She couldn't live with her twin sister.
We're supposedly drug addicts, but she feels sorry for us.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Go ahead.
And my son, he dropped out of high school. He's been with me for 28 years. He did move out for about 2 months with another girlfriend, but they didn't get along. But he's lived with me all the other time.
You have any other children who live with you?
Yes, I have 2 others.
How old are they?
One is 32, and the baby, he's in college, so he's like away at college.
Now, one of your brothers got married?
Yes, my younger brother got married on the 6th of August.
Okay, so he got married, and your mother had in her freezer a piece of the wedding cake. You come home on August 18th, and you want to put some food in the freezer. And the wedding cake is there, so you take the wedding cake out of the freezer, and what do you do with it?
Put it in the refrigerator.
Why?
Because I think it's more important to save food that you are going to eat versus food that you're not going to eat.
Whose choice was that that's more important?
I believe that it's common sense to save food that you are going to eat versus food that you're not going to eat.
Food that you are going to eat, you put in the refrigerator.
You need food to survive, so if you're not going to eat the food, I don't think it's too important to keep the food.
Do you think you're going to be a wise guy with me, Mr. Roby?
No,
You know what side of the bench you're standing on? Plaintiff's side. Do you know how fast I can get rid of you? As quickly as it says, case dismissed.
I understand that.
Yeah, I just want you to understand that. Your wife may think you're adorable. I, on the other hand, sir, do not. I think that you've probably so fried your brain that you think that standing here gives you a license to go toe-to-toe with me. It does not. This is my playpen. Now do we understand each other?
I understand. You asked me a
Perfect.
question, I answered the question.
Well, you answered my question in what I perceive to be a smart aleck way.
Well, wouldn't you agree that it's more important to keep food that you are going to eat versus food that you're not?
Case dismissed.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yeah, this is case number 527 on the calendar in the matter of Burton versus Anderson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Miss Burton, it is your claim that the defendant, who used to be your boyfriend, assaulted you and damaged your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
On the same day. The defendant says you were the instigator of this altercation. He has a counterclaim. He says that you broke his laptop during this little hissy fit that he claims you were having, and also a necklace that he was wearing. First, tell me whether you and Mr. Anderson ever lived together.
Yes, we did at one point.
From when to when?
We lived together from the beginning of July to the end of July.
Give me the dates that you lived together.
July 1st to the 24th, 2010.
And did you move into
2010.
And did you move into his house, or did he move into yours?
I moved into his house that he was living in.
Your Honor, she's lying.
Whoa.
This bold-faced lie.
Was I addressing you?
No, Your Honor.
Then don't speak. When I ask you a question, then you'll tell me your side of the story. Do we understand? July 1st to July 24th. Where did you move from?
From my mother's home.
How old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
Did you have your mother's approval in moving in with Mr. Anderson?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay Mr. Anderson rent?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
I paid him $100 for living there from the 1st to the 24th.
In whose room did you stay?
Mr. Anderson's.
How many people live in that home?
It was 4 at the time.
Who are they?
Mr. Anderson, myself, and 2 of Mr. Anderson's friends, males.
And from July 1st to July 24th, did you sleep there every night?
Not every night, no, ma'am.
When you didn't sleep there every night, where did you sleep?
At my mother's home.
How many nights did you spend at your mother's home?
It was about half and half, honestly. I was
all right, Miss Burton. Then we didn't live with Mr. Anderson.
Okay, but I paid the rent.
You see how nice it is when you're quiet? I'm really good at ferreting out the information that I need, Mr. Anderson. Do you understand? That I need, Mr. Anderson. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know where it's going to go, but I want you to trust me that by the time I get to you, I'll know more about this case than I did when I first came in here. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Great. So you didn't live with Mr. Anderson. Occasionally you slept in his room.
Right. But I paid rent there, and I
don't care. I don't know whether you paid rent there or not. You have a receipt from the landlord?
No, ma'am.
You have a check?
No.
12 nights.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Now, on what date was this incident that you are complaining of today, Miss Burton?
18, 2010.
August 18th.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were no longer even spending the night over there, because according to you, you were spending nights over there from July 1st to July 24th some of the time.
Correct.
So this happened on August 18th. You were no longer there.
Correct.
And you hadn't been there since the 24th.
Correct.
So far, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you happy? You're happier?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right? Now you're going to tell me what happened on August 18th, Miss Burton.
Yes, ma'am. Would you like me to read off my statement, or?
Oh, I wouldn't like you to read off your statement. I would like you to close your statement and tell me.
Absolutely. On August 18th, 2010, it was the afternoon. I don't remember the exact time, so I'm not going to say it. But Mr. Anderson called me pleading that he needed a ride home. He said he had no help, no one was going to help him. He had no other way to get home.
Where was he?
He was at a Shell gas station.
Did you call her and ask for a ride home?
No, Your Honor.
On August 18th, how did you first communicate with Miss Burton?
She called my phone.
And when she called your phone, what did she say, Mr. Anderson?
She was telling me, you know, she wanted to get up, she wanted to see me, and
She wanted to get up.
She wanted to link up.
Link up.
Absolutely.
What time was this?
It was sometime in the afternoon, maybe about 3, 4 o'clock.
Where were you?
I was at one of my friend's house. I just helped one of my friends load up some furniture and move her over to a new spot.
And then what happened, Mr. Anderson?
At that time, she called my phone.
Right, said she wanted to link up. Now, you hadn't seen her since July 24th, or you had seen her?
I don't think, I'm really not sure.
But you hadn't been together since July 24th?
Correct.
Had you had an argument on that date?
I really can't pinpoint the date because every time we talked or seen each other, it was an argument.
Okay, keep going. So you were at a friend's house.
So I was at a friend's house. She called me. I did need a ride back to my residence. So she gave me and my friend, Joshua, who's not present here today, a ride back to the apartment that I stayed at.
Is that the same apartment where she used to sleep over?
It's the same apartment that she's claiming.
That she slept over. I didn't say she lived there.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Correct.
So she picked the two of you up and drove you home?
Yes, Your Honor.
From another friend's house?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what happened, Miss Burton?
Mr. Anderson has a past of stealing.
I'm going to be honest
Listen
with
to
you.
me. Don't be honest with me. Just tell me what happened.
Okay, Mr. Anderson did, in fact, call me to pick him up. I would not go out of my way to pick him up from another female's home. Absolutely not. Never.
Listen to me.
I'm not a chauffeur, and that's not what
Listen
happened.
to me.
Okay.
You picked him up with his friend, and you drove him home.
He called me.
You picked him up with his friend, and you drove him home.
When we arrived at the home, I needed to use the bathroom. I asked Mr. Anderson if I can use his bathroom. I had a key to his home. I let myself in. Mr. Anderson and his friend were still in the car. My purse was in my car. I came back down to the car, and Mr. Anderson was telling Mr. Anderson goodbye. I checked my purse, because on a separate occasion, Mr. Anderson stole money from me.
Stop.
Okay. I checked my purse. Money was missing. I asked Mr. Anderson, I said, where's the money that is missing? He was drunk. It was in the police report, and I have evidence to show you. And he punched me. I fell to the ground. I grabbed his leg to try to get up, and he grabbed my hair and pulled my hair out. He also grabbed a bottle from his house. We were in the house at this time. We were in the house fighting.
Well, just a second.
Okay.
Miss Burton, how did you get into the house?
I let myself in with a key.
Just a second. Hey, listen to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was banging on my door like the psycho from... I told her to get lost, kick rocks. She forced her way into the house. I grabbed her by her arm and tried to lead her out the house. She still wouldn't go.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Chelsea Burton says ex-boyfriend Andrew Anderson beat her up after she accused him of stealing her money. Andrew is countersuing, claiming Chelsea destroyed his necklace and laptop.
Miss Burton, you let yourself into the house with a key.
Yes, ma'am.
You used the bathroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you came outside. That's what you just told me.
Correct.
You had left your purse in the car, which means that you had to sit down in the car, look in your purse. Now you say there was money missing. You asked him where.
At this...
Nope.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm just telling you what you just told me.
Okay.
You asked him where the money was. He said he didn't know where any money was, and he was drunk. You're telling me you just found out he was drunk? You couldn't detect he was drunk when you picked him up at his friend's house?
Not drunk and belligerent, no, ma'am.
You mean he got drunk and belligerent from the time it took you to go to the bathroom?
When I asked him about the money, he got angry.
You got drunk and belligerent from the time you went to the bathroom to the time you came outside?
No, ma'am.
All right.
He had been drunk. Okay.
The next thing you told me was when you asked him about the money, he punched you. That's
Correct.
exactly what you said. And you fell to the ground. And then you tried to grab his legs.
To get up.
And then he pulled you by the hair. And then somehow, miraculously, you're transported inside the house. Because you say, then we're inside the house, and he took a bottle from the house.
No, ma'am, I did not tell you the locations.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't tell you the locations as I walked. I let myself in. I used the bathroom. I came back out. He was in the car with his friend. He came out of the car. As I searched my purse, he was walking to his home. He was in his home. I went back to his...
Oh, you went for just a second.
I went back to his home to ask about my money.
Just a second. Well, that's not what you told me before.
Okay, that's what I meant to say. I'm sorry.
Well, but that's not what you told me before.
Okay.
I know you keep saying okay. So you followed him back into his house.
I did not follow him, Your Honor. He was already there. He was already settled. I had searched my purse because I know his type of personality. So I knocked on the door. Mr. Anderson answered. I said, do you have my money? Because you've done this to me before. Do you have my money? Please give me my money back. He punched me. And that's it.
Go ahead, Mr. Anderson. Now I'm going to hear you.
And I have pictures if you like.
I don't want to see your pictures. Okay. I don't believe that story.
Okay.
I don't believe that that's the way it happened. Do you understand?
Okay.
I don't believe that you knocked on the door and said to him, where is my money? And he punched you in the face.
He did.
That may have happened, that he punched you.
Okay.
That's not the way it happened.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so after she picked me and my friend up, we went back to the house. I opened the door. She went to go use my bathroom. She used the bathroom. She left and went back outside.
Who opened the door?
I opened the door.
With a key?
Yes, Your Honor.
She did not have a key.
She didn't have a key until... She had a key at one point because she knew where we left our key out because I had other roommates there. So if one of us had the key and we were getting ready to leave, we would leave it, you know, so that the other person would have a way into the house.
Mr. Anderson, did you ever make Miss Burton a key to your apartment?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever give her a key to your apartment?
No, Your Honor. She went behind my back and talked to my friend.
No. You can't tell me what she said to your friend. All I'm asking you, Mr. Anderson, is whether or not you gave Miss Burton a key to your apartment.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So you let her in. She used the bathroom. She went back outside. Did you say goodbye?
Yeah, I told her goodbye. Within 2 minutes, she was banging on my door like the psycho from...
Go ahead.
I went back to the door to see what her problem was, and she said, "Give me my $10. I said, "What $10? She said, "The $10 that I had in my trunk." I then said, "From what point of me coming into the house, you using the bathroom and leaving, did I have time to go to a car that the doors were locked as well as the trunk with no key?" I told her to get lost, kick rocks, and, you know, that was the end of it.
Stop playing with papers.
When I went to go shut the door, she forced her way into the house and broke my door off the hinges. I got pictures of that as well. After she forced her way into my house, I tried to handle her like a gentleman. I grabbed her by her arm and tried to lead her out the house. She still wouldn't go. I picked her up from behind. As you can see, she's not the smallest chick in the world. And she tried to throw all her weight down onto the floor, and this is when she broke my chain. I let her back up. She got up. She ran into the living room. That's when my witness came in, and she picked up a bottle, broke the laptop. As you can see right here.
Absolutely not true.
I've got a crack on the top.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
As you can see right here, I've got a crack on my laptop. The bottle actually went all the way through, and also cracked the front right here. And after she broke the laptop, she picked up a lamp and started...
Mr. Anderson, when the police arrived, which they did that day, did you report to the police that she had broken your computer?
I believe so, Your Honor.
Do you have that in a police report?
Not sure, Your Honor.
Do you have the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see the entire police report, please.
Would you like me to submit medical bills and pictures at this time?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I was in the back of the police car with my hands tied behind my back. I was crying and screaming. My knees were buckled. I don't think you've ever been in the back of the police car, but it's very painful.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chelsea Burton is accusing ex-boyfriend Andrew Anderson of assaulting her during an argument.
Miss Burton, you were the subject of a prior criminal trespass in his apartment building. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Yes, you were.
It says on police report, Mr. Anderson told the officer that.
Just a second. Oh, the officer said that Miss Burton was in the call history at this location as being criminally trespassed from this location on July 5th. You remember that?
That's when I was living there.
You weren't living there.
I paid rent.
You didn't pay rent.
I did pay rent, ma'am.
I don't know that.
Okay.
I don't know that.
Okay.
Put your hand down. Let me tell you something else the officer says, which is why, you know, if something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. The officer said, "I did not find either one of these subject statements to be correct." The whole thing doesn't make sense to me. He says that a whole bunch of stuff was in disarray. I didn't see anything about a computer when you spoke to the officers. You have nothing about your computer, Mr. Anderson? That's a very expensive computer.
It is, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
And she's the one who broke it.
Yeah, that's what you say.
At the end of the day,
here.
when you're dealing with somebody who...
It should be in the police report, Mr. Anderson.
Maybe the police were worried about the wrong thing. Instead of listening to what I was trying to tell them happened. When you got a female who's lying and comes out trying to put on a Mother Medea scene like she's all injured and hurt.
There is no question that she did not start to complain about her physical injuries to the extent that they required any sort of treatment until after the officer told her she was being arrested for trespass. According to the officer, when he told her she was being arrested for trespass, let me see what it says here. I advised Burton that she was under arrest for criminal trespass. At this point, Burton's injuries became more painful, and she advised me that she needed to be transported to a hospital to be checked. Prior to that, when the medical people arrived, Miss Burton had leg pain, she said, and 2 small scratches on her face. However, she refused treatment and refused to be transported. I'm speaking.
Sorry.
And refused to be transported to the medical unit and signed a refusal form to the medical unit.
Yes, sir, and I didn't have an insurance, and I told him that, and he said, you can still go, so he still took me.
No,
because
that's not what he says happened. You see why I have a problem with what you're doing? I know what happened.
Okay.
I know what happened.
All right.
That's what the policeman said happened. You refused medical treatment, didn't want medical treatment.
No, I told the police officer, that officer was, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, ma'am. We're living in the state of Georgia. They're just ready to lock up young black people when they get into issues. He really was drunk. He has an issue with alcoholism, period. And
then you had no...
I was trying to help him.
No. If he has a problem with alcoholism, then you stay away from him. And if he has a problem with being drunk, then you don't go back into his house if you think that there's $10 missing from your trunk. You leave, especially if you say that he's drunk. And it has nothing to do with the state of Georgia and police officers. The police officer offered you medical care. You declined it. When the officer checked him for warrants, there was nothing. But it came up positive that the police had been called to his apartment before saying, get her out of here. She's trespassing in my apartment. So the police said, we're going to arrest you. At that point, you said to the police, don't arrest me. I'm in pain. Take me to the hospital.
No, ma'am.
Well, that's what it says here. You want me to read it to you?
I explained to the police officer I do not have medical insurance.
No.
It is this much. It costs this much for my injuries, $4,400.
Listen to me.
I did not want to pay for this out of pocket, but I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, Miss Burton.
Honestly, I was in a lot of pain. I need you to understand that.
Just a second. How much time did it take you to get into a lot of pain? Now, you're having a conversation with the police officer, and you decline medical treatment.
Because of insurance purposes.
You think you're smarter than I am?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of an assault? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
All right. So you talked to the police officer. You said, whatever it is, I don't have medical insurance. I'm declining medical treatment. Then the officer says, we are arresting you for criminal trespass. And you say, I'm in a lot of pain. I want to go to the hospital. Now, between that period of time when you declined and said, I want to go to the hospital, took just about that much time. I want to know, is it within that time frame that your pain became either so acute or somehow miraculously you got insurance?
No, I did not receive insurance.
Right.
No, ma'am. But I was in the back of a police car with my hands tied behind my back. I was crying and screaming. My knees were buckled. I don't think you've ever been in a back police car, but it's very painful to be in that position. And it was getting worse as I was in that tight position.
Great.
And I told him I wanted to see the hospital in the beginning. I told him I wanted medical insurance in the beginning.
No, you didn't.
I told him that in the beginning, yes, ma'am.
Well,
it's in the police report, ma'am. I highlighted it.
You gave me the police report.
I highlighted where I told him at first I wanted med care. I did.
You mean if I were to come up with a form that is signed by you saying that you declined to be taken to a medical unit, are you telling me somebody forged it or did you sign it?
He gave me a paper.
Your case is dismissed, Miss Burton. And so is yours, sir. You don't belong with each other.
I did not decline it.
Stay away from each other. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Beyond's case number 489 on the calendar in the matter of Crum versus Granberry Foltz Williams. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Crum, somehow you are related to these three young ladies.
Yes, Yvonne Foltz is my aunt. And
who's the aunt? Yes?
And Jaleesa and Janika are my cousins.
Are they your children?
Yes.
For some reason, there was a falling out with your aunt and her children. And it is your claim that one or all of them were responsible for keying your car.
Yes.
When was your car keyed?
December 10th in the parking lot of Walmart.
Who had driven the car there?
Yvonne was driving her vehicle.
Who had driven the keyed car?
Oh, I drove my car.
What time did you get to the parking lot?
I'd say I was probably there around 9:30ish because I just got off of work. And
9:30
in the morning, a.m.
What kind of work do you do?
I do medical assistant.
Who was driving your car?
Your Honor, at that point in time, I was at work.
You were at work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car do you have?
2008 Kia Rio, black four-door.
And where do you work?
At that time, I was working at Target Distribution in Woodbury, Minnesota.
You still working there?
No, ma'am.
Who was your supervisor?
My supervisor there was, I forgot her name because I'm not working there anymore due to all this stuff that's going on now.
I'll wait. Remember who your supervisor was and the phone number.
I don't have that with me right now.
We'll wait. Go get it.
Excuse me.
How old are you?
22.
And you?
17.
Where do you work?
Don't work right now.
What do you do?
I'm looking for employment.
What were you doing on December 10th, 2010?
I was at my cousin's house.
Cousin's house where?
In St. Paul, Minnesota.
And where is this Walmart parking lot?
It's in Blaine, Minnesota.
How far is that from St. Paul?
Like 50 minutes.
How did you get to St. Paul?
My cousin.
Came to pick you up?
Yes.
How long did you stay there?
I was there for like 3 days.
From when to when?
Saturday, and
Date?
I don't know what date it was because December 10th never happened at Walmart, and the 10th would have been a Monday.
I just asked you what date. You were visiting
I'm not sure.
with your cousin. I didn't ask you. December 10th did in fact happen. It was a day.
Yeah, I went over there before December 10th, and it was that weekend, so it was a Saturday. What I'm saying is December 10th, I don't know the date, but it was days before that.
Who went with you?
My sister and my daughter. She was suspended that day, so that's also why she was with me.
She was suspended? How old is your daughter?
No, my sister.
Oh, your sister was
We were together because it was a weekday, and she was suspended from school, so we were together in St. Paul.
How old is your daughter?
She'll be 4 on April 21st.
Miss Crump, can you tell me whether this was a trip that you had planned to make to Walmart?
Yes, indeed it was. I was going to go to Walmart to go shopping for Christmas shopping for my kids.
Yes.
And as I was on my way there, I saw Yvonne Carr following me.
Just a second. You have the phone number?
Yes, ma'am.
And the name of your supervisor?
Jill.
Just hand it to me. Thank you. So you were on your way to Walmart and you passed the defendant's car.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's when I seen her make a really quick right turn behind me. So I kept going, and at the time I'm on the phone with my mom too, saying like, oh, I see your sister and she's following me. And she's like, just keep going to where you're going. And I drove to Walmart, which was probably about a couple blocks from there. And once I got there, I noticed they were still behind me. So then I hurry up and parked.
Look over there. Look at me.
So I hurry up and parked. And once I parked, they parked only about, I'd say, a few cars from me.
Who was in the car?
It was Yvonne, Janika, and Jaleesa.
Go ahead.
So anyhow, I parked, and they were still behind me, and my mom was on the phone, so I'm like, okay, they still here. Why are they here? So she said, just go into the Walmart. And before I get out of my car, I can hear them yelling, oh, I'm going to F this B up. If she don't get out the car, we'll break the windows and get her out. And if she just act funny or say something funny, we're going to beat her up.
So, Ms. Crum, there is no question in your mind that the defendants were at the Walmart parking lot on December 10th?
Correct.
That she was not at work at December 10th at 9:30 in the morning?
Correct.
And these two were not in, I don't know, visiting a cousin for a couple of days. They were with their mother?
Correct.
And I don't really have to get into what this family dispute was all about. I don't want to know. Okay. Suffice it to say, I assume that at one time you were a close family, and because of something, you're not a close family anymore.
Right.
And nobody knows how to just not be a close family without being destructive.
Exactly, or violent.
I don't care. That's not my problem. I don't want to put this family back together. I don't care if you're not back together. All I care about is your keyed car.
Me too, exactly.
Now, did you go into the Walmart?
I did. I actually ran and afraid of being assaulted by them three. So I ran into Walmart.
And when you came out is when you noticed your car was keyed?
I noticed the damages on my car.
And you did not see any of them key your car?
No, but I'm pretty sure they did it because
Just
they were
a second.
saying...
It's very easy to determine.
Okay.
Can I see pictures of your car, please? Would you show me where it was keyed? Are you talking about these marks here? I don't know. It's very hard when you do these blow-up pictures to see what you're talking about.
Circle where the damage is, please.
Did you take those pictures with your phone?
I did.
I'd like to see it in your phone rather than blown up so that I can't see a thing.
And you can just move your finger towards the left and it should keep going.
Got it. Now I got it.
Okay.
Much easier to see. Thank you. Okay. So far, there is no proof other than your statement that they were, in fact, there. You didn't see them do it, but certainly she says she was at work. They were in some other place. So if they were lying to me about her being at work on that day, that's easy, right? Yvonne, right? If you were lying to me about not being at work.
I have no reason to lie, ma'am.
Great. And this supervisor would know whether or not you were at work on December 10th at 9:30 in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You swore in an answer, I was at work. These two weren't with me. They were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example. That's why she's suspended from school.
And later today,
Them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us.
The raggedy bees were the two of you.
Yeah, well, she accused her
Okay, I
of
just
keying
want to
it.
know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you.
Jasmine Crum says family members Yvonne Fultz and her daughters Jaleesa Granberry and Janika Williams keyed her car.
Jill, this is Judge Judy Scheindlin. Good morning. I'm in the middle of trying a case, and there was a date in question as to whether one of your former employees was actually working. The date is December the 10th, 2010, in the morning. Thank you, Jill. Was she there at any time that week? Thank you very much, Jill. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Not supposed to lie in front of your children.
That I don't do.
You're not supposed to lie in front of your children and make them co-conspirators in your lie. You understand?
Your Honor, I am
Do
not
you
a liar.
understand?
Maybe I have got a
understand?
date wrong because I was working a lot of
Listen,
overtime.
don't tell me I have the date wrong.
No,
You know
no.
exactly why you're coming to court. You know exactly the date. You swore in an answer, I was at work. These two weren't with me. They were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example. That's why she's suspended from school.
No, Your Honor.
No? You don't think so? Well, you weren't working on December 10th. How much did it cost to fix your car?
I have the repair damages.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
I'm not speaking to you.
I haven't gotten it fixed.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all. Step out. Think twice about your mothering.
While he's excused, you may step out.
I'm pretty sure that they showed you all their drama right here on camera. They're drama queens.
They're all young adults, 18 and older, who physically assaulted my daughter.
2 years ago, Yvonne cut me with a butcher knife here. She cut me here.
I've been up and down for months and months with all this harassment.
I think it's maybe jealousy on their side.
I have a son who's been shot by somebody on her entourage side of the family.
I filed a restraining order to keep them away from me and my children.
It was just crazy to me how they thought they was going to come in there and lie.
I wonder why she hated on us. We never did anything to her.
I have assault charges. I have restraining orders and everything.
It's just been going on and on and on, and there's so much hatred and stuff in between the families.
With them people, there is no family.
I'm glad we came to Judge Judy today to settle that, and for once, somebody spoke up for us, and it looks right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Rowe. Step forward.
20-year-old Shanae Lewis is suing former friend, 20-year-old Brianna Rowe, for keying her car. Shanae claims Brianna admitted to the crime on Facebook.
Miss Lewis, it is your claim that the defendant keyed your car, caused damage in the amount of about $2,500. Miss Rowe says she didn't do it. How do you know each other?
I know Brianna because we were friends in high school. We hung out with the same people and went to the same parties, so we...
All right, so that's how you know each other.
Correct.
When was your car vandalized?
In the summer, around July 2010.
What do you mean around July?
July 2010. I don't know the exact date.
Did you report it to the police?
No, I did not.
Do you remember where your car was?
Yes, I do.
Where was your car?
It was parked at a mutual friend's parking spot in an apartment.
Where?
In Citrus Heights, California.
What's the address?
I do not know the name of the apartment.
I didn't ask you the name. What's the address?
I do not know the address.
What do you know?
I know that my car was parked in a covered parking spot that was allowed by the owner of the apartment.
Well, you can't tell me if it was allowed by the owner of the apartment because that's hearsay.
Okay, well, my car was parked in a covered parking spot.
And?
And it was keyed.
And?
And I have proof that Brianna Rowe did it.
I'd like to see your proof.
Well, we were at a mutual
Listen
friend.
to me.
Yes.
I want to see your proof.
Okay, I have documents of the pictures of my car.
Listen to me. I want to see the proof.
Okay, here's the proof of my car.
I don't have to see the keys, car. You don't even know when it happened. I want to see proof that the defendant keyed your car.
Okay, well, she admitted on Facebook to doing it.
Let me see it.
This is the conversation right here, and it's highlighted.
You have younger children. Would it be possible for you to interpret this gibberish that is highlighted for me?
I'll give it a shot. Okay, laugh out loud. I can care less for you. I keyed your car because my best friend didn't like you. But I'm too grown to go bad on you on Facebook. I'll leave being ignorant to you. I guess anyway, have a nice day.
It's almost like reading Sanskrit.
Yes, I don't dig text speak, but I know it.
Could you show that to the defendant?
Sure.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I need to take deep breaths. I need to take deep breaths.
It's only going to get worse.
Shanae Lewis says former friend Brianna Rowe keyed her car after a falling out. Brianna denies the charge.
Okay, take a look at that. Is that your thesis?
Oh, I have one of these, too.
Well, I'm asking you, is that yours?
Mm-hmm. Did I write it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you tell her you keyed her car?
Because she had made a post that said, Granddad is getting my car detailed.
That said what?
She was getting her car detailed and fixed after them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us because she accused us of keying her car.
The raggedy bees were the two of you?
Yeah, well, she accused her
Okay, I
of
just
keying
want to
it.
know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you. You knew that yourself without having been named. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Because she had already
Just a
accused
second.
us of doing it.
So even though you weren't named, you decided to tell her that she was right, that you did in fact key her car. And if Officer Byrd read it right, you told her why you keyed her car.
I wrote it to make her mad.
Well, why would you think if she already knew that you and your raggedy friend were the ones that keyed her car, why did you think it would make her mad if you admitted it?
No, she thought Elena had keyed her car.
No. She talked about two raggedy people.
She didn't say how many.
No, she just said, she said after them.
Yes.
Well,
and then
raggedy, and she uses the word with an S.
Mm-hmm. Plural.
That would be two.
Yes,
Two.
but
So
it was three of us at the house.
Three of you. Well, how many of you keyed the car?
None of us.
None of us. Well, then why would you admit to keying her car?
Because she accused us of it. After her car got keyed, she came in the house, threw papers at Elena, and told us we keyed her car.
There's something wrong with you. Honestly, there's something wrong with you. I mean, I can't get myself overly exercised about this case, quite frankly, Miss Lewis, because you don't even remember what date it happened. How many times has your car been keyed?
None.
Well, one.
Well, once.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
This is your Facebook page?
Yes.
And this is you with this bathing suit?
Yes, if that is a bathing suit.
Well, I just want to know.
Yes, that is me up there.
Is there any reason why you think that this is an appropriate picture just to send around the internet?
I did modeling, and that was a picture that I like, and I feel that I wanted to post it.
I need to take deep breaths. I need to take deep breaths.
It's only going to get worse.
Your Honor, me and the defendant had been friends before this happened.
The defendant and I had been friends also.
The defendant and I were friends before this happened. And the reason why I believe the motive that they have...
I don't care what their motive was. She admitted it. It's irrelevant to me what her motive was.
Okay.
I assume that you had some sort of a falling out. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Now I'll see the pictures of your car.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
When did you take these pictures of your car?
I took them when it happened, and then I took some more before I came.
And since you don't know exactly when this happened, sometime last summer, I assume you've been driving around with your car exactly the way it is?
Yes.
Do you have an estimate to have it fixed?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. No, they're not repairing any dents. She didn't dent the car. She keyed it.
There's dent marks and scratch marks on my
Very good.
back.
Yeah, okay. Could you explain to me why you filed this lawsuit for $2,500 and the estimate that you had was $15,000?
Because I am suing for, I believe that, for the scratches and for punitive damages.
For punitive damages for what?
Because every time that I have to drive around my car and have the word written on it, that's embarrassing for me to have to ride around and be disrespected like that. I have a newborn son, and I don't want that portrayed for me. I'm not.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
What do you have a newborn son for? I thought you went to school.
I do go to school.
Who takes care of your newborn son?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, spend $500, get your car painted. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Yes, case number 580 on the calendar in the matter of McDowell versus Gathens.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
What kind of work do you do, Miss McDowell?
I work for a retail merchandising company.
Now, you met Mr. Gathens, and you, according to your complaint, which seeks reimbursement for a whole bunch of nonsense, you say that he liked you much more than you liked him. You made it clear to him that your relationship was strictly platonic.
Yes, ma'am.
He showered you with expensive presents. At some point, you told him you needed a car. He took out the car loan on your behalf, and then he started to pressure you for something more than the platonic relationship you were prepared to offer him.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. I initially denied his offer for help with the vehicle because I could see he was kind of controlling, and I didn't.
Why didn't you trust your judgment?
I should have, and I didn't, because he basically reassured me that he wouldn't put me in the position that we were in, that it was a business deal and it was going to be kept
What kind of business deal could it have been?
A business deal being that I started a new job where I worked. My type of job, I have to travel to various retailers.
How does he benefit from taking out a loan for you for a car?
He was doing it as a friend to me.
Well, then it's not a business deal.
Okay.
So this is what your lawsuit is about. Took out the car loan on your behalf.
Yes.
Things started to get a little bit testy because he wanted more from the relationship than you told him you were prepared to offer. He took back the car.
Yes.
And you want $5,000.
Yes.
You have 30 seconds to explain what for.
$5,000 is the $200 in increased payments on my insurance that I have paperwork for, showing that.
Just a second. You had $200 increased insurance for what?
For adding Mr. Gathens on my insurance that I have previously had.
So just a second. $200.
Yes.
Keep going.
They increased my insurance by $180.
Just a second. $200 insurance.
Yes.
Move on.
Well, that's not all with the insurance. It's actually $400 altogether with the insurance, ma'am. $200 is for a deposit for the newer vehicle. I had to change it to full coverage. And then there's an extra $100 a month being added on for February and March for the payments on that truck.
He took it back in March.
He took it back March 21st.
You drove it February and March.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
Okay. There's also $220 for the windshield that I have repaired on the vehicle.
When did you repair the windshield?
February 13th.
When did you buy the car?
February 4th.
Who broke the windshield?
I did.
Keep going.
Okay, $150 for the bumper also.
Just a second. Who broke the bumper?
I broke the bumper also.
So?
Okay.
Keep going.
All right. The $2,100 for the vehicle that I had to purchase because Mr. Gathens took the other vehicle.
Don't be ridiculous.
I would have never had to purchase the vehicle if he would have never took it.
That's not my problem. You shouldn't have taken the vehicle from him in the first place. What else?
You're absolutely
right. So far,
about
you got $200. Keep going.
I have the $200 from where I made.
Don't repeat. Don't repeat.
I'm not repeating anything. It's $200 from where I made a payment to him for the payment on the vehicle.
Just a second. Did you drive the car for 2 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Keep going.
All right. There's $300 where I sold him my previous vehicle, and that we put the $300 down.
You sold him your previous vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she sell you a previous vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
How much money did you...
I gave her $300 for it.
What'd you do with it?
She put it down on the Zuzu.
And what'd you do with the car?
I had it up till when I told her that she could get it back because we was having major problems. Yes, I sold it to her cousin for $350.
You sold it to?
Her cousin.
Her cousin?
Yes.
$350?
$350, which what I had in it, Your Honor.
Okay, keep going.
I have the registration for my new vehicle where I had to get a new vehicle.
I don't care about your registration for your new vehicle.
Okay.
You need a car. How old are you?
I'm 28 years old, ma'am.
You need a car. Now you bought one. Then you don't have to pay anybody back for it. And you don't have to be nice to anybody. Now, he has a loan on the car. Is that right? You took the car back?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do with the car?
Sitting in my yard.
Okay. And how much do you think, Miss McDowell, he can get for the car? You think he can get what you paid for it?
He should be able to. It's a nice vehicle.
He won't be able to. All right. Now, Mr. Gathings.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to me very carefully, sir. You have a counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little distressed about the counterclaim because my sense from you is that you got snookered. That be a fair statement, sir?
I'd probably say it's a little more snookered. I might should be in another courtroom.
Yeah. You got snookered, and right after you purchased this car, she needed bail money because she was on a road trip with the car that you purchased. Is that right? And her mother got pulled over for what? What did your mother get pulled over for?
Driving without a license.
Driving without a license?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, unless a police officer is psychic, they don't know that somebody doesn't have a license when they're driving. They don't look and they say, there goes a car, and I bet you the person driving that car doesn't have a license.
They found out that she didn't have a license when my uncle was arrested right before her, and they asked her if she had a license, and she told them no.
What?
Exactly what I just said.
Shh. Excuse me?
They asked her if she would be able to drive the vehicle home. She told them no because she did not have a license.
Right.
So they told her to walk. Walk home. Don't take the car, walk home. She turned around and took the vehicle, which is why it was driving without a license.
So they told her not to take the vehicle, and she just said to them, I don't care what you tell me, I'm going to get in the car.
I don't know what she said, but that's how it turned out. Can I explain to you what I was asking for the rest of the damages for?
No, you have no damages.
I have damages as far as harassment claims where he's stalking me in my house at 2 o'clock in the morning. I have voice messages on my answering machine along with text messages when he lives 30 miles away from me.
When for the first time? When for the first time did you seek a protective order from him?
I went to the police office on March 17th. They told me because he did not
don't tell me what they told you.
Well, because he did not make any life threats, I could not file a harassment or stalking claim.
Not true.
That's what.
Not true. If you go into a police station, you want to file a stalking report, you can file a stalking report.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Gathings.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she made a fool out of you, you got smarter, hopefully.
A lot wiser.
You got to be able to smell the difference between a rose and weeds.
And later today.
How was the dog injured?
I left the door open, and he ran out, and he fell down through a flight of stairs and broke his leg.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Akia McDowell says ex-boyfriend James Gathins owes for illegally repossessing her truck and for stalking. James says Akia is a con artist, and he is countersuing for bail money and for damages to the truck in question.
Miss McDowell, don't try to take advantage of other people.
Oh,
then
no,
you wouldn't
I'm
have.
not.
Yes, you are.
He tried to take advantage of me by buying me trips and please forgive me messages because he was mad because he reached in my. I told him no, and
Miss McDowell, listen to me very carefully. I am not impressed with you.
Okay.
You have to understand that.
Okay.
I am not impressed with somebody that accepts gifts from somebody who they know have feelings for them beyond which your feelings extend.
Okay.
And take them understanding that, and then stand there like a crybaby and complain because a guy feels as if he's been led on. Pay attention to my mouth.
I am.
Guys have very short attention span. They're really not two processed thinkers. They think when a young lady for whom they have affection accepts their gifts, calls them at times of distress, like when their mother drives without a license in direct contradiction to a police officer's directive. So there's got to be something wrong with her, right? But then has the daughter, because you're the damsel in distress, call. And he responds and sends you money. How much money did he send to bail your mother out of jail?
$600.
And how do you think he knew your mother was in jail?
I told him.
Why did you call him?
Because he's giving me...
what?
Because he's given me things before,
because you were,
and I needed help.
I'm speaking, try not to speak over me.
Okay.
Unimpressed with you.
Okay.
Unimpressed with your plight. Unimpressed with your request for money. You work for a living?
Yes, ma'am.
Stay with the job. Now, Mr. Gathings.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she made a fool out of you doesn't mean that you get any money from her. It means that you got smarter, hopefully.
A lot wiser.
You got to be able to smell the difference between a rose and weeds.
Never judge a book by the cover.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You got to be able to tell the difference in life. Got to learn how to hold on to your money. If it doesn't smell like a rose, it's not a rose.
Yes.
You don't owe her any money. She doesn't owe you any money.
Even my countersuit, even I've got the papers here when she wrecked the vehicle.
That's what I'm talking about, sir. You got snookered. You don't have buyer's remorse. You were hoping for something better. You took back the car. She didn't default on anything when you took back the car.
No,
you
ma'am.
took back the car because actually you were pretty smart. Because this was not going to pay you for that car. You were going to get stuck with the whole loan.
No,
she
ma'am,
would have
that's
driven
not
the
true.
car for 6 months.
That is not true.
Hey, I'm speaking.
I'm a student and I work and I pay my bills. That's why I paid him before the due date.
You took advantage of him.
I never told him that I would be with him, that I wanted to be with him.
Out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We were friends, but he wanted to have a relationship, a sexual one.
I did want more of a friendship. I wanted a girlfriend.
He decided to take it upon himself to try to pressure me into things.
Just up and down, just the game playing.
He got control and started stalking my Facebook.
A lot of writing on the wall. I should have read it.
He bought me a trip to Vegas for my birthday like 2 weeks after I met him.
I say something to her, and she's like, oh, you don't need to be all in my business like this, that, and the other.
Taking me to the casinos and just regular things, buying a car.
It was just too much.
Now he's just bitter because he's not going to be with me or I'm not going to be with him.
Never judge a book by the cover because that book looked very beautiful, but the more I dug into it, I thought it was fiction, but it became a non-fiction.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Feld versus Miles. Step forward.
Melissa Feld is suing her former live-in boyfriend, Gary Miles, for an unpaid vet bill after his Boston Terrier broke its leg.
Mr. Miles, I'm going to start with you. This used to be your girlfriend. You lived together. At some point, you either purchased or somehow received the puppy that you brought into the household.
Right.
And that was a Boston Terrier.
Right.
Did you purchase it?
Yeah.
Yes is the answer.
Yes.
From whom did you purchase it? Is not an answer.
A puppy store.
And how much did you pay for it, sir?
I paid between $1,000 and $1,500.
And at the time you were living with Miss Feld, is that right?
Right.
Had you discussed buying this puppy with her?
No.
No. Sorry.
And at the time you had another dog?
Yeah. Yes.
What kind of dog was the other dog that you had?
A Boston Terrier.
So you purchased a second Boston Terrier?
Correct.
Now, did you purchase the first Boston Terrier before or after you and Miss Feld were in a relationship?
We were in a relationship when I purchased the first one.
You were in a relationship?
Yeah.
So you purchased that one while you were living together?
Right.
Is that right?
Well,
Don't give me a well.
We've been dating
just
for,
a second.
For 5 years.
I asked you a question. I said, were you living together when he purchased the first Boston Terrier?
No, he'd had the dog prior, and him and his dog moved into my apartment. So...
Just a second. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So the answer is, before you moved in together, you had a dog.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you got a second dog.
Yes.
And then while you were home, one of them was injured.
Yeah. Yes.
How was the dog injured?
I left the door open, and he ran out, and he fell down through a flight of stairs and broke his leg.
And where was Miss Feld at the time that you left the door open?
She was at school.
So the responsibility for the accident was yours? Or the puppies? I mean, what do you want? It's either yours or the puppies.
I think it was the dog's fault. It
was the dog's fault?
Yeah.
That's what I figured you would say.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It wasn't like two supportive people. It was not a good relationship. I felt very taken advantage of.
Miss Feld, I really don't care.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Melissa Feld claims ex-boyfriend Gary Miles owes for a loan to pay a vet bill.
Okay, so it was the dog's fault that it fell down and broke its leg,
It
right?
went running out. Yes.
And you took the dog to the vet. And the vet said that they would have to be surgically repaired, and the bill was something like $4,800. You didn't have any money, so you called Miss Feld. Miss Feld came down, met you there. She put the vet bill on her credit card. So far, is that what this case is about?
Exactly.
And shortly thereafter, the two of you broke up, and I assume that you have the two dogs.
Yeah. Yes.
And you want him to be responsible for the vet bill.
Exactly.
Now, when you were living together, who was paying the rent?
We were splitting the rent.
And who was paying for the food?
We were splitting the food.
Gas, electric.
Basically, everything was split.
Right. Now, why then should he be responsible for the entire vet bill?
Well, first of all, I didn't want the second dog.
I don't care what you wanted, then you should have kicked him out with the second dog.
He came, exactly, but so I made it clear that those dogs were his responsibility.
You never made that clear.
I did. To him, it was 100% his responsibility.
Okay. Ms. Feld, you were living together at the time that the second dog came into the house. In what month and year did the second dog come into the house?
About February.
Of what year?
2010.
And in what month and year did you separate?
June, July of 2010.
So for 6 months, I assume you both dogs on Sunday, that they snuggled in your bed, all of those good things.
Exactly.
Right.
But
now, I'm not finished. Now, when the puppy was purchased, puppy doesn't have all of its shots when the puppy is purchased. So puppy had to go to the vet before the broken leg, right?
Yeah,
He takes care, he had to take care of the dogs 100%. Okay.
Ms. Feld?
Okay.
I assume the dog went to the vet.
Yes, it did.
Who took the puppy to the vet?
I did.
And when you paid the vet, what was the vet paid with?
With cash.
Your cash.
My cash.
Now, why did you do that if the two of you were living together and splitting the bills?
Because they were his dogs.
It was my dog.
Now, if it's your dog, so why didn't you pay the vet bill, Mr. Mile, when, owing to your irresponsibility, the dog was injured?
He didn't have the money.
Just a sec.
Okay.
You want me to throw you out?
No. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't have any money at the time.
So when you say you didn't have any money at the time, Mr. Mile, what did you say to Miss Feld when you called her?
I said, the dog's hurt. Can you get down here, please, and help me?
And?
And she came, and she...
Helped you?
Helped me, yeah.
Now, Mr. Mile, how did you say you were going to repay her for helping you? Is not an answer, Mr. Mile.
I didn't say how I was going to repay her.
You didn't say?
Shh. So far, you just lost half your claim. Do you understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, Miss Feld, did you pay the vet bill?
I did.
I'd like to see it.
But when we were at the vet, I made it clear that it was a loan.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't.
No,
I'm telling you, you didn't. If you were together for 6 months and you played with those puppies and they were in bed with you and you were a couple and you slept together every night and you walked into the vet's office and the puppy's laying there and the puppy's broken leg, you did say to him, what's your first name?
Gary.
Garrett, this is a loan. I'm telling you this. You have to pay it back to me, $300 a month.
I did
because that's not what two people who sleep together at night do in an emergency. Do you understand? It doesn't make sense.
No, but I did say that to him. The dog was in dire emergency, and that was the only reason that I agreed, because I loved the dogs and I agreed to do it.
Right.
But it was clear that he was responsible for those dogs.
We're not talking about what's clear. We're talking about...
And that it was a loan.
Miss Feld, I'm telling you, I don't believe it. Common sense suggests to me that when two people live together in an intimate relationship and have pets for 6 months and are splitting all of their other expenses down the middle.
This is what I'm making clear, is that we had been off and on for 5... It was not a good relationship. It was unhealthy. There was a lot of trust issues. It wasn't like two supportive people. It was not a good relationship. We were not on each other's side. I felt very taken advantage of in the relationship.
Ms. Feld, I really don't care. You're not in the relationship anymore. He owes you $2,442, which is his half of the bill, because that's what you were doing. You were splitting expenses. Goodbye, Mr. Mile.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
সবাই কেমন আছো? আশা করি সবাই ভালো আছো। আজকে তোমাদের সামনে এই ছবিটি রং করে দেখাবো। ভিডিওটি না টেনে সম্পূর্ণ দেখবে। এই আমাদের ছবিটি রং করা সম্পূর্ণ হলো।